the plan for you. So you can grab a phone line right now. The phone lines are open at 913-381-810-810. Always enjoy witty banter.
Mm-hmm.
Witty
banter.
And by the way, somebody got be kind to Kyle.
Ah, yes.
You know, like the you tell him.
Yeah.
No. You
tell him.
We have a phone line, and you can do it.
Yeah.
So don't call up and play tough guy to Kyle.
For one thing, Kyle's the son of an Army man, and Kyle is not
a man to be trifled with.
He's not a man to be mocked.
Are you strapped? I should know about that. If
no.
Okay, good.
He just has a steely resolve, and he does not suffer fools gladly.
I think I'm on Kyle's good side, but he's kind of the quiet type.
Yeah.
So you're always like, yeah.
If you think he's a pushover because he's soft-spoken, wrong.
I don't think that's the case. No,
not at all.
He's a good human being that treats people the right way, and so he's a better human being than me. I'm not that good, and when you piss me off on something like that, well, you know. I don't know what I mean. I can't reach through the phone and do anything, but
True.
Just irritating.
You're making it sound like I came up and complained about the college.
No, you didn't. I just know how it is over there when you know.
Yes.
I did get one.
People
guy
love
yesterday.
to beat up on whoever answers the phone to avoid having to deal with you.
I know because I get the emails.
Yeah.
You know, not a lot of them. I mean, I think I try to make sure everything I say is grounded in fact.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I give opinions, right? But they're grounded in fact. But you know, I knew it when we talked about Darren Peterson. I mean, until I receive new information, and I reserve the right to change my opinion when I get new information. But I've made it clear I'm not buying it anymore. I'm out, coach. Little, yeah, I'm done. I think that was it for. I know it was it because I actually was talking to a buddy of mine at ESPN. They're like, oh my God, that did not go over well. Like the football guys were like, what is that? He goes, I can only imagine what the basketball guys were doing, but. You know, this is a guy that works on their football shows. He's like, oh, my God, all the ex-NFL guys are like, what was that? Because every ex-NFL guy thinks he could have been in the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, sure, I'm 6'7", 355. But, I mean, a couple of sit-ups. I'm Zion Williamson. But, healthy.
Yeah. I don't think so. They aren't allowed to tackle you in football.
Yeah. It's a little bit different. I thought we would do a little comparison to start. Where do you want to start? Do we want to start with the basketball of the weekend, or do we want to start with some Chiefs free agency? What do you think's bigger?
I think Chiefs free agents.
Okay, let's do it. We took a couple of top free agent lists. Mm-hmm. And I think this is interesting because one of them is from The Athletic, written by Daniel Popper. Daniel Popper is the Chargers beat writer, and maybe he's growing into becoming a full NFL writer. And I'm sure he used a lot of different resources. And if I didn't skip to the list, I may have read that he explained how they came up with this list. I don't really care. The Athletic's a reputable source, so I'm going to take a look at it. I actually know I did. We read through this actually in the meeting. Now that I'm looking at it, I'm like, no, we read this. So we did see how it is. And I think it's just his list of top 150. And then Pete Prisco, very popular in these parts.
Oh, yeah. They love it. Ever since 2013, he's been the darling of the KC fan base.
Pete Prisco has called the Chiefs 9-0 2013 team the worst 9-0 team of all time. And that got him sideways.
Yeah. Now, he was a lot closer to being right than people gave him credit for.
Well, I mean, they were definitely in the bottom half.
2-5 down the stretch in a first-round loss.
And then when they got blown, and then they blew the lead to the Colts, and everybody was complaining. And then when they missed the playoffs the next year, and then especially when they went 1-5.
Yeah.
Every call during that succession got more adamant about the 9-0 was a joke. I'm sure there was some crossover of people who were thoroughly pissed that he called them the worst 9-0 team. But then also we're talking about, well, the 9-0 doesn't count. This team is really just, I'm going to cherry pick the 2-4 finish after the 9-0 all the way through to this 1-5. And I'm going to tell you what this team really is. They're a 12 and, what would that have made them? 12 and 16?
Yeah.
12 and 15, 12 and 18? 12 and 18, maybe.
Yeah, 5, 12.
2 and 3, 2 and 4. So 2 and 4 plus 9 and 7, 11 and 11.
Yeah.
And then a 1 and 5.
Yeah.
12 and 16.
Yep.
A 12 and 16 team. That's what people.
what they
I need to commit that to memory. 12 and 16 stretch was the most dire time. Sitting on 1 and 5 in the season were the most dire times for Andy Reid. At that time, everything switched over. But we picked Pete Prisco because I actually very much respect what he does. And I think he's wired in. And I'm going to give you Chiefs placements, right? Like free agency is a big thing. But where the Chiefs free agents sit in both lists, because I think this is interesting because in some ways, it's not to say that one's right and one's wrong. It's to say that this is somewhat like two different general managers' views of the free agency and how it can get expensive. So if you're like, man, love to trade Trent McDuffie, wish we had Jalen Watson. I don't think we can get him. I think he's going to be too high up on everybody's board when it comes to the free agency. I think people are going to want to go for him, and it's just going to be too expensive. So unfortunately, we're going to have to let him go. Well, then you'd like the evaluation that is given by the Charger guy,
Daniel Popper.
Because Daniel Popper, where did Daniel Popper have him? 35? Where was he? I forget where he is. No, Brian Cook was 37.
Watson's at 33.
33. Jalen Watson at 33. 33rd best free agent is Jalen Watson, right? So you're like, okay, maybe that's possible. By the way, going up in front of him, other cornerbacks that are there, Rick Woolen at 26 of the Seattle Seahawks, Alante Taylor of the New Orleans Saints, and I think that's going to be it. I don't think there's one up that high. That's it. All right, so, we got a shot. This is just the third best corner that's out there. Okay, let's try to get him signed. Let's see if we can go 3 for 45. Now, I'm going to tell you there's no chance the Chiefs are going to sign Jalen Watson because he's 28 years old, and they're not going to pay for 29, 30, and 31. So I think I'm right on that, or he's going to turn 28 in this upcoming season, and I think I'm right on that. You look up his date of birth. But the flip side is Pete Prisco. Jalen Watson, number 5 free agent, and the number 1 corner.
Watson will be 28 in September.
So he'll be basically next year will be his 28-year-old season. I don't know what they'll call it, but I'll call it 28 when most of the season he's going to be 28 years old. So this is this is an exercise in it only takes one. It only takes one GM, and if Pete Prisco's that one GM and he says, no, whatever it takes, and your plan is trade Trent McDuffie, sign Jalen Watson because we can get Watson for cheaper, and Pete Prisco goes, that guy's the real deal. He's the number 1 corner on our board. We're going 5 for 100. I got extra cap. I need to win next year. And, this guy might suck in years 3, 4, and 5, or I might need to be making him a safety in years 3, 4, and 5. But for the next 2 years, I've got a solid corner, and I need it 5 for 100. Now, I don't think he's going to get that. I think he's going to get more in the, what do you think, 5 for 75 with a big signing bonus. That really makes it a 3-year deal that you can get out from under with some hits. And he ends up pocketing 40 of the 75.
Yeah.
Something along those lines. It'd be my guess, but it only takes one to make it 5 for 100, right? With $40 million up front, and knowing that you're going to give him at least $60 million in practical bonuses, right? Maybe even 75, and all of that is going to end up being paid to him one way or another. Then that starts to get pricier.
Yeah.
If it ends up being at least 3 for 75 with a dead cap hit after 3, the Chiefs cannot afford to match that.
No. And my thought on a corner, paying for a corner, would be I'd pay for a guy that you knew was an ace. Anyone below that, I think you can replicate something close to him through the draft or through a lesser player and coaching and scheme or whatever. If the guy's the best in his position, sure. Maybe I'm much more likely. That's kind of how the Patriots did it when they would scheme the pressure and pay the coverage. That's how they give guys Stephen Gilmore, guys like that. That would be my philosophy. I don't think Watson's that guy.
I don't either. I like him a lot.
I don't think they have that guy. Noel Williams might end up being that guy.
I think it's one of the reasons why they've done a really good job of when to shift gears and take an older player. Mm-hmm. because they do, maybe to a fault, overvalue age, and they love the super young guys. And I think there have been some good guys. Like the Rams have done a pretty good job of being like, okay, we're taking the 25-and-a-half-year-old right now. We're taking the 24-and-a-half-year-old. And I think, everybody is hip to the age game now. So I think that, is part of the reason why people look at it. By the way, Alontae Taylor will not turn 28 until December, and Rick Woolen will not turn 28 until a year from... Why am I having a hard time finding his birthday? He's 26 and 294. So a couple months. It's a year from roughly March. So that's one of the reasons why they're ranked higher on that board.
Be 27 in 3 months, or just over 2 months.
Yeah, so overall, where do the Chiefs rank? Well, Pete Prisco's a fan of the Chiefs players. Let's say that. If you look at what the Chiefs are losing, they're losing a lot. We mentioned Jalen Watson's is number 5 free agent on the board. You scroll down, you get to number 20 is Brian Cook. And then number 28 is Leo Chenal.
3 in the top 30.
3 of the top 30. And I do think Chenal is going to be there. Some that are going to love him and some that are going to hate him, but I think somebody's going to love him enough that he's going to get, and I think there's going to be a couple of teams that are going to love him enough, and there'll be a bit of a bidding war. And I think they're going to be 3-4 teams. So as we get ready to go to the Combine next week, and as they get ready to start chatting it up about contracts and trades and all that all, it's like I said, anyone who's telling you that the Chiefs are doing this or the Chiefs are doing that, Chiefs have done nothing when it comes to Trent McDuffie, contract or trade. But when that green flag gets waved on when it's open is when the league has their open house. And everybody is there, at least representatives from every team are there. And so I think that's when you'll start to get a feel for, Brett Veach will be around Leo Chenal's agent. He'll be around Brian Cook's agent. He'll be around Trent McDuffie's agent. And I think the Chiefs would love to sign all 3 of them. I don't think there's any way they can sign all 3 of them. I think there's a path to signing one of them. I think there's a path to signing 2 of them if it's Cook and Chenal and the market doesn't materialize the way I think it could for them. I think if you're giving $10 million to Justin Reed for his 3rd contract, I think Brian Cook's going to be up around that mark. With the cap going up, I think you're looking at $10 million per year on Brian Cook. Mm-hmm. And if Chenal blows up and goes away and McDuffie's demands are exorbitant, you're like, we got to trade him for whatever it is, then I could see you landing on getting a deal done for Brian Cook. Right? But again, that's $10 million. They're 11 million over right now.
Yeah.
And that's $10 million that is not currently on the books. So this is how the cap game works. Now you can backload that, bring that number down, only count 3 or 4 million. But again, you still got to cut. You got to get to 12.5 under just to have your draft. They'd like more draft picks, which if you roll back, takes away the most expensive one. If you trade Trent McDuffie and get more picks, takes Trent McDuffie's $13 million off, but depending upon where those picks are, adds that to it, and then you're in the market for a corner.
I think if they were coming off a Super Bowl championship and didn't have that many places they needed to improve, it wouldn't be smart to resign all 3 of those guys. Coming off of the year they had with all the holes they've got, it's awful. I'm also curious, and the gap between these 2 polls, and again, it's just 2 people, the consensus might put it somewhere else, on Leo Chenal. 28 from Prisco, 105 from Daniel Popper. That's almost 80 spots different. One of those guys is going to be wrong by at least 40 spots.
Yeah.
Because it's wherever it lands. Somebody really missed on Leo Chenal. I don't know how you view that. I don't. That's crazy. The others are lower for Popper. I mean, he has none in the top 30, and the highest Chief is, I think, 33. But at least he kind of has the right order. It's Watson, and then it's a few spots down. It's Cook. He's just a little bit lower. But it's Chenal at 105.
Cook is 30, or no, it was 20 on Prisco. Chenal is 28. Over here, Cook is 37. So, we're in the ballpark there.
Yeah.
But Chenal, this is where I say it really depends upon how you like him, because Chenal does not pop up until, what do we say?
105.
105.
Yeah.
And that is the biggest variance you're going to find.
And he sees more in Kelce than Prisco does.
Yeah. Popper has Travis Kelce at 54. So if Kelsey's like, yeah, I'm coming back and I want this much. Well, he's 54 on Popper's list. He's 78 on Prisco's. You know, he's a free agent, but if he plays, it's likely going to be at Kansas City. At 37, he isn't what he was, but he was still reliable. How much are you paying for reliable?
Not that much. Maybe a smidge more because of, not the history, but because of the residual impact of Travis Kelce's work ethic and personality in the locker room. That's worth something.
Yeah.
Whereas another player who's just reliable doesn't have that. Because to a great degree, I still believe that Travis Kelce has been one of the emotional, even in a bad season. You could say, how much good did emotion do? They went 6-11. But if you think that's an important facet, and I think Andy Reid and Brett Veach probably do, I think it's worth a little bit. Not that much.
Yeah. I think this is the fascinating time. The market is going to get set. We're going to see, what everybody's worth, and we're going to see, if we actually start getting some traction on a trade for Trent McDuffie. Because I don't think the Chiefs are going for sale on Trent McDuffie. I mean, I don't necessarily agree with their approach, but I think their approach is to try to sign Trent McDuffie. They talked to him last training camp. I think that would have been the time. You know my theory. Going into that fourth year, let's get it done early. And if I can't get it done, then I'm going to trade you over the next 2 years. And you've got the franchise tag. If you don't get it done this year, you can get it done next year. But I think 2 years of control, he's worth more now than he will be a year later, a year older, and somebody's still paying the freight and probably even paying even more because the cap will have gone up again.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, I think you want to get a deal done, and you want to get it done quick. And that's the other thing. Like, his agency is the same agency, I'm pretty sure of this, that Trey Smith has. And they're not an agency that moves quick. And so, like, when you sit there on the draft board, when we roll around to the end of April, and you look at the board and you go, okay, I'm going to take this guy, I'm going to take that guy. They're pretty close. We can take either one. We need either one. Who are their representatives? Who's more likely to make a deal when we get to the free agent point? Okay, that tips it. I don't think you draft one of the other. I think talent always rules the day. But if you do like a numeric system, 10-point scale, let's say, and you got 2 9.1s up there, well, then the difference is who I got a better chance to sign. If nobody's going to beat on the desk and say, this is the guy, then the difference is going to be whoever I have a better chance to sign. 913-381-0810. We'll take your phone calls. I know Bob wants to lead us off. He wants to talk some Travis Kelce. We'll do that. When we come back, we'll talk some Chiefs football. We'll also hear a little bit from Andy Reid. A lot to get to today. Danny Unleashed in the 3. 2-minute drill in the 4. Kevin Harlan in the 5. You are in the program.
The program with Soren Petro. Weekdays from 2 to 6 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, listen up. We've got a chilly, cold day today, but the last few days should make you realize the really good weather is right around the corner. If you don't have a deck, a patio, a screened-in porch to enjoy it on, what are you doing? All Weather Decks builds those dream outdoor living spaces. They're ready to start your project in only 6 or 7 weeks. That means while we've got this bad kind of weather like we've got right now, they're working. That's right. They're working, getting your project done. Only 6 or 7 weeks away from starting your project. And I'll tell you what the last few days remind me. It reminded me of just how much we use our outdoor living space. Whether it's getting out and getting the grill going. We even got in the porch the other day. I sat out on the patio and did a little work before the show while I had lunch. We have that beautiful outdoor living space. We love using it. You will as well. There's no better place to entertain than in an outdoor living space, whether it's a deck, a patio, a screened-in porch, you name it. No matter how big your project is, All Weather Decks has probably built one bigger. So what are you waiting for? With 24 Angie Super Service List awards under their belt, with an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau, working all over the metro and even beyond, there's no other choice but All Weather Decks. Check out allweatherdecks.net. Photos of finished projects are a great place to get some ideas. You can also check out the map link where they've done jobs all over the metro and beyond. Like I said, all over the metro and beyond. You'll see it. There's little pin drops everywhere where you can see on the maps where they've done the jobs. I guarantee you they've done some jobs in your neighborhood. They did an unbelievable job for me. Excellent customer service, the best craftsmanship. Starting sooner, finishing faster, building it better. That's All Weather Decks. Mention you heard it right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Call 913-206-1974. or just visit them online at allweatherdecks.net. That's allweatherdecks.net, and relax.
Hello, it's Mark Whitlow from Office Products Alliance. OPA is not just your local office products connection. We have expanded our offerings to network cabling installation, security cameras, door access, and IT services. We all need to keep pace with new technologies. You can trust a Kansas City company that has been your partner for 32 years. Check us out at opakc.com. Supporting local businesses and our community is more important than ever.
Paid for client portrayal and endorsement. Choice for lawyers and
friend of mine immediately. Trade him. Trade McDuffie. Anytime I bring up McDuffie, he is right. Trade him. He's not that good. He's the one guy in town that's like, I'm not that impressed with McDuffie. So he, in his view, would be, well, I guess we don't have Trent McDuffie on this list. I'm sorry. It's Jalen Watson. He's talking about Trent McDuffie. He's like, hey, trade Trent McDuffie. Trade him. I agree because I think you turn and burn the cornerback position because I think they get old fast. Yeah. So I'm in total agreement on that. I think the league is going to somewhat come around to that. And I think where you got to get to, and this is my point, I'll back up. Ideal would have been able to take a first and a second from the Colts for Trent McDuffie in season last year. I mean, you're giving 2 firsts for Sauce Gardner? We'll take a first and a second for Trent McDuffie. Because 2 firsts is outrageous. I mean, God bless the Jets for being able to go out and get that. I mean, the Jets are a collection of colossal boobs. There's no way around it, but they were smart as hell in that deal.
Yep.
Right?
No, only a quarterback would be worth 2 firsts, and that guy is probably not going to be traded for 2 firsts.
I think then the problem is a good quarterback is worth more than 2 firsts.
Yeah, and if one you can get for 2 firsts isn't worth 2 firsts.
So I think to me it's why I say if you start making the right decisions, and the Chiefs are entering a period where they've already missed this window. They should have been doing it the entire time under the Alex Smith era and then just roll forward. If you're constantly, this is what the Milwaukee Brewers are doing in baseball. They constantly make the best decision for the long haul. And when they had a chance to trade Hader to the Padres, best reliever in baseball at the time, they did it. Now he's a good reliever, and they got a big haul. When they got a chance to trade Devin Williams in the middle of a race, they did it. They're always making the best decision for the long haul. And now, what do you find? That they have traded away all kinds of big league talent, have replaced it with all kinds of guys from their system. And their system still ranks as one of the best in baseball.
Yeah, but do they consistently win?
Yes, they do.
Oh, that's right, they do. My bad.
They haven't won a championship. I know. They have not spent over $1 billion in deferred money.
They're just in the playoffs every year.
Every year they're there, and to me, that's the key. I know the Royals organization makes it look like that's not the key. Ask the 70s Royals if you just expect to be in the World Series every time you go. Mm-hmm. Like, it's entirely possible that the Royals are going to go to the playoffs with J.J. Piccolo. And I just look at the Braves organization that Piccolo came from with Dayton Moore. That won 14 division titles and won 1 World Series. Yeah. And played in 2?
Played in...
Or 3?
91, 92, 90... about, I think, 4 or 5.
4 or 5? And won 1.
And won once. Yeah. They lost in 91, 92, 96, 99.
Okay.
So
4? So 4 and a win? 4 a lot, 1 and 4.
Yes,
5 World Series.
Yeah.
Okay. To me, in football, when you have the quarterback, but you make the long play all around him, you're always in position because Patrick Mahomes alone is enough to get you in there. And once you get in there, it's matchup each game. Do you get a yellow brick road to the championship the way the Patriots did? They had it until they got to the Seahawks. That was the one tough game, and they obviously couldn't handle that. But, if you're making that right decision all the time, but if word on the street is the Colts are looking for a corner, and you could have moved Trent McDuffie for a first and second, how giddy would everybody be today? With the way the Colts fell apart, the first round pick, first round pick ended up being way better than the Jets ever thought they were going to get when they did that deal.
Yeah, for sure.
And by the way, the Chiefs bombed out. Oh, you can't do that deal. They're trying to win a championship. I know, but they clearly didn't accurately look at their team. Like they were not a championship caliber team. And I don't want to hear about the Mahomes injury because they were about to be 6-8 with him.
Yeah.
So they misread the market. They misread the team. They're in the get it right business. They didn't get it right. And to me, you can eliminate that trying to be like, let me see into my crystal ball thing, if you just always do the right thing. Because if you move McDuffie and you play the rest of the year and you're badass everywhere, if you've got a great pass rush, then Christian Fulton, Jalen Watson, and Noel Williams were more than good enough to win a championship if you have the pass rush. But you should have been able to look at it and go, we don't have the pass rush. We're kind of doing this with smoke and mirrors on the defensive side of the ball.
As much as any defense in the league last year, according to at least a couple of metrics.
Yes. 913-3810810. All right, Bob, we said you'd lead us off. You're in the program. What's going on, buddy?
Hey, just a quick question for you. What do you think Kelsey's brand is worth to the Chiefs? Just the overall Travis Kelce brand.
I think it is worth whatever gear Swifties buy.
That in the podcast, that every time he mentions the Chiefs on a weekly basis.
Yeah, but you said what it's worth, not like mentions. Like, where is it going to tangibly reflect in the bottom line? I think it's only in the merchandise because I think Chiefs fans buy Chiefs gear already, so it's only in whatever conversion you can make. And as long as Taylor Swift is a part of this, I think it's what Taylor Swift means. Now, if you want to talk about, So then, and I'll listen to like just having your name said as like a free advertisement, so that's worth something. Okay, as long as we all agree, what a steal the state of Kansas got for bringing the Chiefs over, because now the state of Kansas is going to get their brand mentioned more than they ever have or ever will have because they have the Kansas City Chiefs. So as long as we all agree on that network, then I will listen to that. But what I always get is people want to talk about that kind of stuff. And I go, okay, so then states and cities and municipalities should pay whatever it takes to get the team, because nothing gets Kansas City mentioned and nothing will get Kansas City, Kansas mentioned like NFL football from your state. So as long as we agree that was a sweetheart deal for the state of Kansas, that I'm willing to say, okay, yes, that podcast and all that, that's great. But I think the podcast results in Travis Kelce making money. I don't think it results in the Chiefs making money. So if you want to go dollar for dollar, I think his brand is worth however much Chiefs gear Swifties want to buy as long as she's coming to the game.
What about this angle? When they played overseas, all the fans over there were chasing after two players, all the fans. It was Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes. The point I'm trying to get at is, do you think that the Hunt family is putting any pressure on Veach to get a deal done for Travis Kelce?
Hold on, perhaps, but hold on. Let's back up. They're chasing after two players. Would they have been chasing after him if Alex Smith were their quarterback? Was Travis Kelce a global phenomenon before Patrick Mahomes came around?
Oh, I would say no.
No, so I would say Travis Kelce better hold on tight to the tow rope, because the boat pulling him across the pond and letting him do all the tricks off the waves, that's Patrick Mahomes. So nobody, I don't know that anybody's ever skied in two bigger wakes than Travis Kelce has.
There's a whole bunch of offensive players that played with Patrick Mahomes as well that were not getting chased by overseas.
Oh, there's no doubt. He's a charismatic player. He's the best offensive skill position player Patrick Mahomes has played with, but he was not a phenomenon when he played with Alex Smith, and his numbers were not spectacular when he played with Alex Smith either. There's no doubt. Yes, Travis Kelce has worth. I'm not telling you he's worthless or average or just another guy. But, I mean, he is the benefactor of playing with – if he doesn't win championships, they don't get what they got. And same thing with his brother. If the Eagles are on a championship-caliber team, they don't get what they got in that podcast. And you watch where that podcast goes once Travis retires. I'm not saying it's going to go away, because they are two very personable, funny, witty guys that I think have careers after him. But, Shaq thought he was going to do stand-up comedy and rap albums and all that. He does analysis for the NBA. That's what he really makes money on. And then he bought businesses, right? But as far as just him, the personality. And it will be the same thing for Travis and Jason the further they get away from the games, right? But so I'm just telling you that, yes, Travis Kelce is absolutely a talent. He is absolutely a personality, and was without Patrick Mahomes or Taylor Swift. But nobody has ever had two boats pulling him faster to stardom than Travis Kelce did, linking up with what might be the greatest quarterback of all time and what might be the biggest pop superstar the world has ever seen.
Not negating that. Everything you said I agree with 100%. But now I'm curious to hear your thoughts on what's it worth for the Hunt family to have Travis Kelce one more year?
Yeah.
Are they putting pressure on Veach?
Yeah,
that's an ownership decision and not a truly need at that position of tight end. Because I personally think it's time to get a little bit younger and it's time to move on. I don't, unless he does a very team-friendly deal. But I'm under suspicion that the Hunt family's saying, go get the deal done. He's worth it to us to have him on our roster.
Right. So I can see that. I can see them saying that, and I think we'll know. Like, I think they have said that about Patrick Mahomes, because they according to a couple of reports, part of his deal has void years on it, and that was something the Chiefs absolutely would not do. They did not want to be sacrificing the future. And maybe it's that they just wanted to get late enough into Patrick Mahomes' career to where they're like, yeah, we know there's going to be a cold, dark winter for a couple of years at the end of the Mahomes regime, but we want to feed the beast as long as we can. And so maybe now they're seeing the end in sight 5 years from now. I think it's years 6 and 7 of his deal on the rework deal that are looking like void years. I'll have to go back and look at that. But I've seen one of the cap sites shows 2 void years at $60 million on the back end of it to make that deal work. If they do void years on Travis Kelce, yes, the Hunt family has changed. And then the Hunt family has said it's important for him to be here. Right? If it's a 1-year deal that has 3 void years on the back end, they've said that'll be your answer right there, Bob. It won't matter what I think. They will have spoken by doing something they've never done for any other player except for Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, obviously we have a history. We walked away from Gonzalez, who was a Hall of Fame elite, probably the best of all time tight end. So
but didn't want to be here. Didn't want to be here. Different situation in the sense that he didn't want to be here.
True.
But your points are all valid, Bob. Great stuff. I appreciate the call. Very thoughtful stuff there. And I'll say this. I am a cold, more Belichick approach to players, right? I don't hang out with them. I don't coach them. I don't watch what they go through. I don't play with their kids. I don't know their wives. It's easy for me to sit here and be like, the math says this, right? And there are people that tell you the best mathematicians in baseball are the Rays, and they've never been able to win a world championship. And I'm going to tell you, one of the worst mathematicians in the modern era of baseball might have been Dayton Moore, and he's got 2 pennants and a world championship. So there is something to the human factor, and I think Dayton Moore was as good at that. And I think he did knock over he didn't do it through analytics. He did it by some simple math. If a third of my innings can be ace caliber, then I don't need to go try to sign 2 aces. And he recognized he showed baseball how important the bullpen can be.
At a time when not everyone else was doing it.
Not everyone was doing it.
Now everyone is.
So I did want to get credit. I'm not, in no way am I saying Dayton Moore's a dunce. He gamed the game with a bunch of smart mathematicians running around, and he kicked their ass. Mm-hmm. Okay, so Dayton Moore belongs in the Royals Hall of Fame as soon as he's eligible. He did a fantastic job in winning championships. His formula was flawed in consistent winning. All right, that's the record shows that. But I want to be clear. But it's I would be the opposite of Dayton Moore. You'd be much more likely to be watching the Tampa Bay Rays if I had any idea how to GM a team. And I think the hope is that J.J. Piccolo can marry the two, can pull the strengths of Dayton Moore with the strengths of the analytics, marry it together, and you can have the best of both worlds, right? To me, which is the Cardinals' run for about 20 years, where they contended every year, went to the playoffs almost every year, and did win multiple championships along the way, right? That's what you hope to recreate in a comparable market to St. Louis, what I think the Brewers are kind of on their way to doing right now. The Rays, to an extent, did, but they did it all coldly. But the Cardinals didn't do it. They'd overspend here and there. They had some of their parts that they thought was, hey, this is where we need to go. But I think that's what you're trying to do. For me, on the football side, because of the injury factor, because the careers aren't as long, I think it's much easier to be cold and analytical and follow that path. Because Travis Kelce, and you're right, Travis Kelce is a unicorn. A tight end playing to 37 years old and still playing at a very high level, unicorn. And I get the idea of, like, we do not ever want to see Travis Kelce play in another uniform. And if Alex Smith were your quarterback, I'd be all in on that. But we've seen great players go finish their careers. It happens almost always in the NFL. And nobody in San Francisco hates Jerry Rice because he finished with the Raiders and Seahawks. Nobody in the Raiders is mad that Tim Brown went to the Bucs. Okay? Nobody in Pittsburgh hates that Franco Harris finished with the Seahawks. Does anybody here really mind? Maybe we do because there wasn't a championship involved. I've named championship caliber players in those other spots. Maybe we do mind that Jamal Charles had the cup of coffee with the Denver Broncos. But I don't know. Does anybody remember? There's only a handful of us old people that remember Bobby Bell finished with the Raiders.
Yeah.
Neil Smith went to the Broncos. When I'm around Neil Smith, Chiefs fans don't come up and be like, hate your guts. They go, I hate you were there. But I'm actually kind of glad you got a ring because you were my favorite player when you were with the Chiefs.
I wore the Band-Aid.
Bill Moss finished with the Packers. It is special that Tim Grunhard walked away and never wore another uniform, and I think that would be ideal. But that's a two-way street. Travis Kelce has to make that work, right? And so when I see the number, because I think it's inevitable that they're going to re-sign him, no information on that. Just the longer we go, the more I feel like that's coming. And by the way, that decision got announced at the Combine last year. So next week is an important time to see if that ends up, because the Chiefs are going to start positioning themselves for free agency in Indianapolis next year. Yeah. So they need to wrap this up pretty soon. But for me, I'd have a number, I'd have a price. If he's willing to come in on that price, let's do it. If he's not, let's walk.
One of the things that bothers me about the way people often look at the Rays and the relationship between their success and how much they use analytics is, as someone who deals with stats all the time, to me, you can't just look at the stat, whatever, some connection, and say that's what it is. You have to figure out, why is that stat and that thing lined up. And it's easy to say, well, they do analytics and they have won a World Series. The question is, where would they be if they didn't do analytics? I mean, analytics may have taken a team that has no fan base, no support, very little money, and they're in the playoffs every single year. Where would they be without the analytics? Analytics might be why they're not a 90-loss team every year. The fact that they haven't won a World Series is not an indictment of analytics.
Yeah. Well,
you got to know what the connection is between those two stats.
But I think there is where I would say the flaw is for the Rays approach is there are times that, like, we're this close, we should go ahead and go into the red line.
Yeah. Like,
see if we can run the motor on the red line for a year.
Financially?
Yeah.
Like the Royals did in 15.
Yes. And then overcorrect, and then correct and drop it back down afterwards. I mean, I think there is a time.
Yeah, they never made it.
They never made
Ben Zobrist and Johnny Cueto trade.
Yes.
They don't make that kind of
move. Yes. And I'm actually okay with that because I think that move got a lot of teams good deals. Like, oh, the Royals did it. This is the new formula. I mean, they were a tip ball by the pitcher in Houston away from Carlos Correa making the play, and they don't get by the Astros, and then anybody ain't bragging about those trades. They're talking about how horrible the Cueto trade was, because the only thing that makes that trade look good is that he came up big twice in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But in the regular season, he frankly disappointed.
Yep.
So, 913-810-810. John, you're in the program. What's going on, John?
Hey, Soren. I was actually calling to talk about the free agency thing. But
okay.
Hearing your cross-sport analogy, I'm going to push back on you a little bit here with your Rays thing. One,
okay.
I don't think it can be undersold that the Rays have never won a championship. And two, I'll tell you why. Because I looked it up. When the Colts traded for Sauce, that was the Chiefs were 5-4, had just won their 3 in a row, whatever. And you trade Trent McDuffie right there. We know how hyper-competitive Patrick Mahomes is. Coming from you, who always says the one thing you can't do is get sideways with that quarterback, how do you walk in and call Patrick Mahomes and say, hey, I know we're 5-4, not looking great right now, but we just traded an all-pro. This is a guy who I just don't know how you sell that to the guy.
Well, I will agree with you. If that's the first time you've walked in and told him that, I think it's a tough sell. But if you told him that when you walked on the Chris Jones contract the second time, and you see Chris Jones getting 3 sacks someplace else, or whatever, what do you have? What did 3 the first year? Like he got that contract, and I think he got 10 to 10 in the franchise tag year.
13 and 38 games. He's got 13 and 38 games since he signed that extension. I know this because I'm with you. Yeah. I would not touch Chris Jones' contract right now. If you restructure him, he goes has 4 sacks this year. Nightmare. And
that's why I go back. If your point is, if you've been doing this all along, and you've told Patrick as you sign him, now listen, there are going to be times where we make a deal that isn't best for that moment, but it will be best for the long haul. And our goal is to always keep acquiring as many resources as we can to keep making the team better and better in the future. And we will always be stocked. We might take 1 step back within a year, but that's okay because you can take 3 steps forward in any game you play. And we're actually doing this because we have you. Not in spite of you. Because we have you, that enables us to do this. And do you think if he were sitting here right now, had you made that deal, and that's how you'd operated beforehand, and you'd signed, I mean, take Chris Jones, $30-some million off the books, and you signed, Joey Bosa? Talking about some of the most impactful free agents. Joey Bosa went for, I think, 1 for 12 in that neighborhood to the Buffalo Bills. If you had Joey Bosa at defensive end, you had, I can't remember, we had a whole list. I mean, I could give you like 5 players that could have been signed instead of the money that was going to Chris Jones this year. And you're frankly a better team. The NFL is a no-weakness sport, especially on defense. Like if you have a weakness, they'll find it. And they'll exploit it. And that's why it's better to have 4 good corners than 1 stud, 2 pretty good, and a dog. Because they will find the dog, and they will beat him. And so to me,
I agree.
Yeah, your point is valid if you just start this today. But at some point, you got to start it. And yes, you need to have the conversation with Patrick Mahomes that this is how we're going to operate moving forward. Are you on board with this?
Yeah, and I agree with your take on that. It's also why my original thing to call was I don't know why we're talking about re-signing Watson or Chenal or any of these guys because I'm with you. I'm more team of I wouldn't have re-signed Trey Smith. I think that's the first time I called your show right after they franchise tagged him, and I said, I think Veach is panicking here. And I understood why they thought all the answers were in-house after going to 3 straight Super Bowls. But after you go 6-11 and 6-8 when Mahomes was healthy, I don't see how you say, no, our answers are still in-house. I think this is the year where you say, hey, look, that 2022 draft class is going to go, put it in the Chiefs Hall of Fame, put Veach, that whole lineup in the Chiefs Hall of Fame. Now let all these guys walk, restock the shelves, because you can't think you have the answers in-house. And I don't understand how you can have such a success like drafting a guy like Watson in the 6th round and turning him into a guy who some team's about to hand $15 million a year, and then say, no, that's actually the answer. We need to keep him. So I really hope Veach kind of goes back to being his aggressive self that we saw those first 3-4 off seasons and got away from it. Again, they were going to the Super Bowl every year. It's hard to say, hey, he got it wrong because they won 2, went to a 3rd in a row. But I really hope this is the offseason where they don't think they've got all the answers in-house, because we know they don't.
Yeah, John, great point, and thanks for the call, man. I appreciate it, and you're dead right on the Trey Smith. I mean, listen, to sit here and be like, we're going for it now, is to ignore the fact that you were going for it last year. You paid a middle linebacker and a guard, right? Great players at their position, but down probably closer to punter than they are quarterback in their value. Now, most everybody's somewhere in between those two, okay? I get that. And so I'm not trying to say that Trey Smith is only worth 5% of, a great left tackle. He's worth more than that. He's a valuable player. But to pay top dollar for 2 positions that are not premium positions, last year was the all-in balls-to-the-wall year, and it flopped. So please don't try to double down on that. All right, wrapping things up here in hour number 1. Danny Clinkscale coming up in the 3 o'clock hour. Getting some college basketball with Danny, maybe a little baseball as well. The boys in blue open with their spring training schedule today. Talking Chiefs football to get things started.
Mm-hmm.
When it's all said and done, is Trent McDuffie traded?
Yes. I put that in pencil, but I think I'll give some I guess shade it toward the fact that this a year in which you come off the kind of year they had, all the factors that of necessity and acquiring players, needing to rebuild a lot of that roster, the financial situation they're in, I think they'll do it.
I think they should do it. I think part of the question is going to be how much does he ask for? I think more likely he heads in. Does he say he's going to hold out? If he says he's going to hold out, then I think sets it in motion, because he's only going to hold out if they're not close to each other on what the price would be on an extension.
Yeah.
So I think it's a lot more complicated. Like, if you ask Brett Veach right now, is Trent McDuffie going to be on the roster? He would tell you, I want him on the roster. But, oh no, what do you think? I think his answer would have to be, I don't know. A lot of that lies in Trent McDuffie's court. What does he think he's worth?
Need
and
more,
can we
more
get
data.
and can we get to that number?
All right, college basketball. When was the last time there were 2 top 4 matchups on the same day in 2 different arenas? Brought to you by La Feta Delicatessen.
Every once in a while, we have to bring out the big dog.
Yeah.
Oh, God help us. It's time for Danny Unleashed. Sponsored by Easton Roofing, where integrity matters. Go to eastonroofing.com for more.
You're listening to the program on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Petro, Seaboldt, Collier. We're now proud, very proud to welcome Danny Klinkskill for a little Danny Unleashed, brought to you by our friends at Easton Roofing. Joe Spiker and his great team. They're Kansas City's best when it comes to putting a roof over your head. You know that by now, don't you? Come on, founded on integrity. They're also the best when it comes to your siding. Easton Roofing, they're experts in siding installation using top brands like James Hardy, LP SmartSide, Alside, CertainTeed. They provide full design support. How about a visualizer tool that lets you preview the colors, the styles, right there on your actual home? You can make a confident decision whether you're replacing storm damaged siding or upgrading the exterior. Easton Roofing delivers craftsmanship, communication, and beautiful results that will last. They offer lifetime warranties and factory pre-painted siding with a 15-year paint fade warranty. You'll get nothing but professional installation with a focus on quality, communication, and cleanup, just like they do with the roofing. Great for residential renovations, new construction, storm repair. Easton Roofing. Find them online at eastonroofing.com. Danny, how are you, buddy?
I'm really good. When you go out, we went to a show last night. We saw Hamilton. Which
I did too.
It was faint. You did?
Yeah. It was called the HOA board meeting.
Oh, right. Yeah. I heard
quite a show.
I heard you talking about that yesterday. Anyway, it was great, but it was so bad just walking the 3 blocks into the music hall because it was, 25 and the wind was blowing 30 miles an hour. So today's just a delight. This might as well be a warm summer day.
Yes.
I walked outside today. I said, "Oh, this is great." So that put me in a good mood.
Well, that's good.
Sun shines out.
I'm going to tell you, like, when your biggest fan starts, he'll start
the pressure.
He'll start the 3 o'clock podcast. He runs about an hour and a half behind the show.
Right.
He's adamant on listening to the show in order.
Right.
So he listens to the podcast, and so about 5 today, I'm guessing, I'll get Danny's in a good mood, because he does not like it when you're in a good mood.
When I'm in a good mood doesn't mean there won't be something unleashed here during the course of the day. If I wasn't in a good mood, maybe I wouldn't be engaged.
He sniffs out the fake unleashing. I'm like, I don't know. I don't think we've had fake unleashing, but he claims he can.
I don't think I've ever done that.
So where do you want to begin? I'll give you some of the, at least I'll go through a list. You tell me when you know where you want to settle on. All right? Sporting Kansas City's Floria moves, selling off Daniel Shalvey. Gone Jerome Tang for a cause. Mizzou survives. Darren Peterson. The saga continues.
I think it's still the top story. I know people are tired
Which one?
of it. I'm tired
Peterson?
of it. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm tired of it too, but
Chiefs free agency, Royals first game, spring training.
I think that's fun.
Okay.
But there's nothing significant about the first game except it's fun.
Okay.
As David Lesky said in his newsletter today, they're playing baseball today they'll be doing that for 179 days basically. And he said, and what's wrong with that?
I agree.
That's perfect. So I'll be checking out the box score and whatever. Yeah, that's fun.
I think it's longer than that.
I thought it was 179, but I can look back.
You have to look. I think it's more than that.
Yeah, it sounds like more, but.
Because that's 6
months. Maybe that was
the regular season.
Maybe that was the regular season. I don't know. No, maybe it meant 179 games.
That might be.
That still sounds
17.
Low.
That still
sounds low. Yeah. Anyway,
you blew it.
Maybe it was 279.
The Royals posted earlier. Says starting today, the Royals will play 194 games over the next 220 days.
There we go.
So you were not even close.
Maybe it was
anywhere.
194. Well, 176 isn't that far away from 194. I mean, it's not ridiculous.
Okay, we'll grade on
More
the curve.
than 10%.
All right. I still think that Darren Peterson's faux injuries.
Whoa. You're not buying the injury?
Yes,
I don't know what to think now because I have never seen an athlete who's claiming or they're saying he has cramps act the way he acts and others act the way he acts around them. I've never seen it. We've all seen a million times guy getting near the end of a soccer game or on a basketball court in an overtime, and guy cramps up. Teammate rushes over, puts his leg at a 90-degree angle, shakes it, usually,
stretches it, pulls the toe back.
It out. Sometimes the guy just stays in the game, okay? But if worse comes to worse, he usually goes over to the bench, drinks some pickle juice, whatever. They're rubbing it up. The trainers are, vigorously working the area.
Trying to loosen the muscle,
area. And then they'll play, generally. And this is like, ooh, well, I'm feeling a little twinge. So I'm Coach, I'm out. Get me.
But
in this case, the other day,
the jumper and I'm done is, I mentioned I was talking to a buddy at ESPN the other day, and he was asking me about Peterson and what all is going on and all this, and he goes, when he looked over, he goes, he works on the NFL shows. He's like, that when we that video was playing on one of the TVs in the set, and he goes, the NFL guys are like, what the blank is that? Like, they look over and like, yeah, I'm out. Like, they're not like quick head move and drop my three. Go ahead. I'm out. Take me out.
Well,
they all were losing their minds.
What made this to me worse is that he'd had 3 subpar games in a row. So he shows up, he starts, and he played the whole game in those games. Correct? Pretty much. I think he maybe sat a few minutes at the end of one.
He was 34 and 35 in back-to-back games. I think one of them was
maybe
a little bit less.
A little bit less. Maybe played a little bit less. But he started and played however many minutes he would have played. Wasn't particularly good. Whatever. By his standards. And then in this game, he comes out and lights a torch to Oklahoma State, basically to me saying, "See, this is what I can do. Prove my point.
Game's over.
Game's over. I'm out. That's it for me."
I'd like to. I said this, and then
we got 6 games to go, and I think Bill Self has done an admirable job of maneuvering this, standing up there and fancy dancing his way around the situation. I'm not saying he wasn't even legit, but clearly after the last game, there was some sense of frustration there. He was still trying to be protective. But, yeah, it's a concern.
And I did not expect this. We thought he'd be good for the whole night.
Yeah, we thought we were past this.
We were past this. Yeah.
I know. So I guess, yes, it's still the number one story, but do I have anything fresh to say about it? I really don't, except that I don't understand. Describe it some other way to me, and maybe I'll be better off. He has soft tissue damage that flares up every now and then. That's what it is. But when they say cramping, that's crapping. It's a crapping explanation of cramping. Because I've watched, I don't need to say how, everybody knows I'm a little older than you fellas. I've watched sports forever. I've seen guys get cramps 1,000 times. Easy. Probably more. And I've never seen anything like that. I've never seen it treated that way. I've never seen it referred to that way. Now, hey, he's a unique talent. Maybe he has unique cramping. Peterson cramping. It's a new syndrome. Now from this point forward, there'll be some star player who sits over there with his thumb in his mouth.
The Tommy John.
And doesn't play. And he'll say, oh, he's got
Lou Gehrig's disease.
He's got the Peterson.
He's got the Peterson.
It's the Peterson cramp, no cramp. Untreatable cramp during the course of the game. Can't be treated, but modern medicine is baffled by this seemingly innocuous condition that thousands of times athletes have continued to play in the same game. The same flippin' game. I'm so close to profanity here. And I don't have a dog in the fight. Yes, I went to Kansas, but I have viewed sports with my own lens for decades. Anybody who listens to me knows this. This is garbage. Garbage. If I said 2 games ago, I said if I'm Bill Self, I'm really tempted to just say take a walk.
I would.
If you can limp down the street, yeah, or Uber to the airport and go see mommy. Fan, is that good enough for you? See, I'm in a good mood, and there you go. I mean, it's sickening, isn't it?
Yes, I'm beyond.
And for all these people who are saying, well, he's got millions of dollars on the line. First of all, he's making millions of dollars that he's not earning, okay?
Right. Playing 15 games, you don't think he's earned it?
No, I don't. And he's now it's gotten to the point where he's literally jeopardizing millions of dollars. What's the difference between the number one and the number two? It's not that great. And I'm searching so desperately for reasonings here. Maybe he doesn't want to be the number one pick. Maybe he feels like, I'll be the number two. I'll be the number two pick, and all the pressure won't be on me. As much pressure won't be on me. I won't be the number one pick who flamed out and turned into whoever. Pick your favorite flame out number one pick of all time. I don't know, or turn into Andrew Wiggins, which is literally what I'm thinking now. That to me right now is looking like the ceiling to me.
It's not the ceiling because he's a better shooter.
I just mean, how much is he going to play? I said before we went on.
For that
I looked
standpoint.
up Kyrie Irving. He had injury problems at Duke his year. Everybody said, well, okay, we'll wait till the tournament.
But
I think he played 11 games. I know he didn't have a serious injury.
My recollection was it was something that he was supposed to be out for the year, and then I remember being surprised that he was going to come back and play in the
I don't
tournament.
think that was it. I think it was a nagging injury, but Kurtis will probably look it up over there. Anyway, he's played 14 years in the NBA now, and he's played 70 games twice. And 60 games only a couple more times. It's usually been in the 50s or below.
Mm-hmm.
Is that who you want with the number one pick in the draft? Well, also, how many teams has Irving played for? 7?
He played for quite a few now.
Yeah.
I don't think it's that high, but
imagine
Cleveland to Boston to Brooklyn to Dallas.
He played Dallas, and now he plays somewhere else, doesn't he?
No, he's still in Dallas. He's just
still
hurt
in
Dallas.
Is it only 4? Seems like more. Anyway,
I'm with you 100%, and I do think we have a trend, and I bring up names like Ben Simmons and Markelle Fultz and Zion Williamson, 1-1s. And you can talk about like the Anthony Bennett's, and there are other busts, but I'm talking about guys that just don't play very much. And Ben Simmons was kind of goofy at LSU, and Markelle Fultz, couldn't get Washington into the tournament. Ben Simmons couldn't get LSU into the tournament. Now, that's not going on here, but I think the teams are significantly better. They beat the number one team without him, right? And that's what Alex Schiffer said yesterday when we were talking to him. But, these are the guys that you're like, is basketball important to him? I mean, to use the adage that's usually used with football, is basketball important to him? I don't think it's important to Zion Williamson. I think he just happens to be good at it, but he ain't going to play unless he's 100%. And professional sports is not about being 100%. Because you're rarely 100%.
Well, this has also gone on so long that, say, tournament tips off, they play 6 games, he's great, he plays all 6. That's not going to make me feel, if they're holding up a trophy, great, but is that going to make you feel better about what went on during the season? Then he was a complete fraud, and it was just all fake, and he didn't want to play. And now all of a sudden, tournament time, it's time. It's go time. It's time to win a championship. I'm out there for 40 minutes, coach, whatever you want. My soft tissue injuries have just magically disappeared. I sought out a unicorn who touched me with his, whatever that is.
The horn.
The horn, yeah. Touched me with his magic horn.
Mr. Miyagi.
Were you going to call it a beak?
Well, something. I don't know what they'll call it. Horn. I guess it's a horn. Anyway, that's mystical. This is mystical. The whole thing's mystical. I don't even understand why a Kansas fan would want to expend the energy to stick up for him. You have guys who are going out there every game putting it on the line. I'm sure they've got some nagging injuries. You don't play 25 games of high-level college basketball without getting knocked in the nose or slightly pulling a muscle or, knee-to-knee contact. And they're all out there playing. I would think this would bother them. But I certainly don't see why a fan is going to go out of his way to stick up for the guy. To just be annoyed at the least. At least be annoyed. and hope. Yeah, sure you hope. But it's been so long now, I'm going to almost feel worse if he just goes out and balls out in the tournament.
Well, I know why the fans want to hear it. It's the same reason why you look at the top 25 to see how high your team is, and then you look for reasons why they aren't higher. I mean, that's what fans want. They want affirmation that they and everything that they care about are number one. And we all do. I mean, it's that's what we want. What separates people is those that can handle it when they're not.
And at what cost are you willing to just? This has been about as not quite, but it's not far away from as bad a look as K-State. Because this is a national championship potentially caliber team. K-State's a crummy basketball team program right now. Okay, they fired their coach only because it's such a circus. This is bad. I don't think anybody around the country is going, oh, poor Darren Peterson. Gee, I wish he'd be 100% healthy. Nobody's saying that. So, anyway.
I do. I think the issue here is, one, whoever wrote the check for the NIL, aren't you pissed? Like, we're talking about firing Jerome Tang for cause when any rational person thinks there's really no cause there. And, yes, are they going to settle? Well, they might, but we would all say, is it going to be closer to 18.7 or closer to 0? I vote 18.7. And I'd put the over-under at about 15, okay?
Well,
I'd still bet over.
I will say
this.
But
I don't want to switch to Tang, but I want to stay on him. Right. So we'll get to Tang in a minute. But I think if you're the NIL check writer, like, I want my money back. I mean, I think I'd want to be like, no.
Well, hopefully it wasn't one person who financed this.
Whoever it was, I would be talking about a lawsuit, right? And I think that's what we're getting. If everything's about money, right, at some point you're going to be like, no, I paid you to play, and you keep coming out of games. And that's why at some point we're going to get to where they do have contracts for this kind of thing. And they have to live up to the contract. Because right now it's a cash grab. It's gone. It was way too far on the school side. Now it's way too far, or at least too far, on the athlete side. But I think the fear, and this is one of the reasons why I think it's Bill Self's last year, because I think if Bill Self were going to be back, Bill Self would not tolerate it. He'd tell him to pound the bricks. But he wants one more shot at cutting down the nets, and tolerating this crap is his best chance to do it.
You think this is
I think this is it.
Even if it doesn't work out and they go out in the second round.
He had to miss a game again. He's had two legitimate heart procedures, and he had to miss a game again this year. And, I'm no doctor. I mean, he's obviously cleared to go back out there, but, you watch him get pissed at things. I don't think that's the best thing for your heart. I don't know. No. I'm no doctor. I'll be clear. So I don't know. But I just think that, I hope not. I mean, I think before the heart thing came around, we were going to see Bill Self coach to about 70 or a little more. Although I had people who used to tell me he ain't going to be one of these guys hanging around coaching in his 70s.
Well, he's already past where people said he was probably going to stop.
Well,
I think about 60.
Yeah, and that's why, like, I had a friend who was quite talented in this business who's like, oh, I won't be doing this when I'm 40. And they didn't hang it up till their 50s, till 60. And they didn't hang it up. Somebody chose it for them. Okay? So, we're all big and ballsy about when we're going to walk away till we walk right up to that date. I'm like, it don't seem so bad right now. So I do give it that maybe he did want to walk away. Maybe he used to want to walk away and change his mind. Yeah, I do feel like it's now because I don't think Bill Self stands for this if he's in it for the long haul. Because, listen, I think that's the scary thing for everybody else out there. Is this going to become the new norm for the truly elite players in college basketball? And if it is, have we now gone to okay, we get it. We didn't like the truly elite players, not, LeBron, Kobe, not Kevin Garnett, not playing 1 year in college basketball. So we partnered with the NBA. The NBA agreed, you got to be 19, before you can go to the league. So they got college basketball there 1 year to try to prop up their free minor league. Okay? But are we at a point now where it's okay, if they want to go, because we weren't that bad. But if we're going to have everyone come in here and be like, I'm out, coach, it's an AAU team and they decide how many minutes they play, that ain't good for the college game. You're going to tolerate this once, and especially if they go out in the round of 32. And if then there's 4 guys doing this next year, college basketball is going to be like, just get them out of here.
Right. And also the NBA is talking about not having a draft. Well, if they don't have a draft, then it's just going to be these guys aren't going to play college basketball. You know, they're just going to sign when they're 16 or
That's not true.
Like Europeans.
That's not true. There's numerous kids. That's the whole Bediako situation. They're not all going to be on the NBA. They don't have the roster spots.
Yeah, maybe the top shelf guy, the top.
Yeah.
No, what I'm saying is that there may be a system where these dudes may not play. We see this in top-level soccer. These guys are making a lot of money to sit around and do nothing. You know, that because they signed them when they were 16.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I could see if you're saying that they're going to, they'll sign the ones they want, but there'll be plenty of talent to fill the college basketball.
Oh, no, I'm not saying it's the end of college basketball. I'm saying it's the end of, the very best players playing college basketball.
And how bad was it when 5 guys, there were lots of guys who bombed. There were lots of guys who sat on benches, right, who went out, straight from high school and didn't play and didn't ever do anything, right? And so, we'll get back to that mode. But college basketball is still going.
And college basketball, and like you say, it's only going to be 4, 8, 10, 12 guys, and the rest of the guys are going to play college basketball, and they'll be still running around in your jersey, your university's jersey, and that's all you really care about.
Kyle, what year were you born?
98.
So do you remember it all, 02, 03, Kansas basketball?
No.
I mean, I wish we had a Kansas. Were those good years?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, LeBron didn't play that year. And nobody at Kansas feels like, God, college basketball just sucked. Right? There was plenty of, that was the era of don't have to play college basketball. And nobody thinks of that era as like, nobody can even remember what those years were.
Right, and those years that you mentioned featured 2 guys for Kansas who would be lottery picks who played all 4 years. Or did Collison play 3? I think they both played all 4.
Only Gooden didn't play all 4.
Right.
The other 2 played all 4 years.
Right.
Yeah, I think where they're going to get to is like, okay, especially if there's more Petersons next year, they're going to be like, just let them go. Just go on. Get them in the draft. Stop with the 19. Draft them at 15. Go ahead. And there'll be teams that do it. And then you really will see the guys that sit there and, or they just got them stashed in the G League and they're playing,
the thing is, they're talking about this as one of the greatest freshman classes ever, and all the other dudes are playing every night.
Yep.
I know.
DeBance's averaging 34 minutes a night.
The kid at Arkansas
34 minutes a night.
Who you've quoted, John Calipari. He told me, no way I'm missing this game, after he spent the day in a walking boot.
Right. And he scores 49.
There were 4 freshmen on the night that Darren Peterson said, I'm out, coach. It was the first night in the history of college basketball that 4 freshmen scored more than 40 points in a game. And one of them was not Darren Peterson.
Right.
So, right now, alive and well is the competitive spirit everywhere except for one little apartment in Lawrence.
Exactly.
All right, let's take a break. We'll talk some Jerome Tang next.
The program with Soren Petro.
Too fat to run.
Weekdays from 2 to 6 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, look, if you want a smart home, a truly smart home, if you want the very best when it comes to in-home theater, surveillance, security, how about multi-room music? How about networking your Wi-Fi, whether it's your home or your office? That's right, rocket-fast Wi-Fi all over your house, even outside your house. I work out on the patio all the time because Applause set it up to where we've got rocket-fast Wi-Fi, really strong Wi-Fi right outside on our deck and even on our patio. It's just nice to get outside and do a little work, and Applause Custom Sight and Sound did all of that. We added the security and surveillance. That was our last job. That was easy because we built it right. That's right. Applause Custom Sight and Sound builds it right the first time. There's some people that'll jerry-rig some things and come in at a lower budget. But if you want a true smart home with cutting-edge technology, built to last, that you can add on to as technology evolves, or you want to add things to it, then go with Applause Custom Sight and Sound. There's a reason they've been in business over 20 years in an industry that most companies don't even last a couple of years. They are the best when it comes to technology. They are the best when it comes to installation. They are the best when it comes to craftsmanship, and they are the best when it comes to customer service. So give Applause Custom Sight and Sound a call today. 913-498-1183. That's 913-498-1183. 498-1183. Tell them you heard it right here on the program. You can find them on the web at applausetheater.com. You can even get a beanie set right there at applausetheater.com. So no matter what it is you want when it comes to true smart home technology, Applause Custom Sight and Sound has been in my home for 20 years, and I couldn't recommend them stronger. They did an unbelievable job at my old home, a fantastic job at our current home. If we ever move, they'll be one of the first people I call again. Plus, they're here when we add on. Like I said, a year ago, we added on the security and surveillance. It was super easy. They did it in about a day and a half. So go to applausetheater.com today.
Sex, intimacy, love. These three things are critical to a good relationship, and that's the problem with erectile dysfunction. It often destroys sexual enjoyment and intimacy. It stresses the love between partners, often to the breaking point. This is Jeff for Heartland Men's Health, and if you're suffering with ED, you likely know exactly what I'm talking about. But I also want you to know that ED doesn't have to impact your relationship anymore. At Heartland Men's Health, we're ED experts, with our focus on men's sexual health. We've treated tens of thousands of men and have treatments that
All right, the La Feta Delicatessen, end of the hour answer. College basketball. It'll happen tomorrow. When was the last time that there were two top 4 matchups on the same day in 2 different arenas? This is the 5th time they've had it on the same day. When was the last time it was?
What do we got?
We got different arenas. Tomorrow we've got Houston, Arizona, and Michigan, Duke. I think there's an out-of-conference game.
Yeah, they're playing in D.C.
When was the last time this happened?
Well, no, the last time
it was not in one building.
Yeah.
So like the Champions Classic probably had it or something.
It's happened a couple of times in the Final Four, including in 2019.
Right.
Happened in 2008. Happened at the Champions Classic in 2019.
Well, so you got to find a time when 2 conferences, or 1 conference, because it'd be conference season.
Actually, it was not in conference season.
Oh, so it was. Oh, so it might have been
because of the game. One of the games tomorrow is non-conference.
It was December 5th of this particular year.
I'm just thinking that with non-con schedules the way they are, I would have thought it would have been like you got a Duke, North Carolina in one, and a Kansas OU in another.
Yeah, I think that's
would have been
more likely.
Well, I would have thought the path, but you said December 5th?
Yep.
So that would have been, that's not the Maui. Well, because I always think back to that Kansas year, but Kansas wasn't ranked high when because LSU and UNLV, they beat 1 and 2.
This is not in the same building, so this so
2 different spots.
I don't know.
So there'll be 2 non-conference games where it's 1 and 2 and 3.
I don't have any idea.
December 5th, 1992, number 4 Michigan over number 1 Duke, 78-69 at Cameron. Number 3 Kansas over number 2 Indiana, 74-69 at the RCA Dome.
Oh, wow.
Tomorrow will be the second time ever, according to ESPN, 2 top 4 matchups on the same day in 2 different buildings.
That's pretty interesting.
I've been waiting all week to use that. It was one of the polls came out. You're like, okay, that's what it's going to be. So we knew what 1, 2, 3, and 4 were going to be. Been waiting all week to use that.
That's pretty cool.
Oh, that'll be. I think it's be interesting to watch the Michigan Duke game because I think Michigan's a step ahead of everybody.
Do you?
Yes.
They look pretty good.
They do.
I mean, they've won what 6 games by 30.
Yeah.
And 4 by 40.
As soon as that started getting hype, it started coming out. They barely beat Nebraska without their 2 leading scorers. And Nebraska barely beat K-State. So there is and by the way, the transitive property's never been wrong.
No.
Okay. But they've gotten back to walloping people again. They got a lot of different ways to beat you.
They do seem to be a team.
I should be clear. Two of the better players. I don't actually know where they rank in the scoring on Nebraska, but I know they were down 2 good players.
Yeah.
And they took Michigan all the way to the wire.
They do seem to be a team that has a gear that other teams are going to struggle to get to. They won't always be in that gear, but when they crank it up, it's hard for one of those teams. It's hard for other teams to stay on the court with them.
Also, I know this generally doesn't matter as much in the tournament, but they can basically do what way back in the day Duke used to do, or they just throw 2 different 5s out there. They got 9 guys who are playing like more than 20 minutes a game. So, yeah, they got and they've gotten buy-in from the coach, who I think is an excellent coach. Also, I think he's proved that now in a couple stops. So. I mean, there's other good teams. I'm just saying I think they've separated themselves a little bit. So if Duke goes and beats them, then I'll reassess. Because it's a neutral court game, so it's like a tournament game.
Where are they playing it?
Washington, D.C. It's a, Hoops Classic or something. I don't know what why or whatever, but they are.
They didn't explain.
There's no challenge or involved, whatever. I don't know. Somebody paid them is what, this. It's like the Vegas thing.
Well, which, by the way, there are reports that the players that played in that are still waiting on their checks.
Nice.
That's going to be a problem. Like, all the schools are lining up to go play in it, but the kids aren't getting paid. It's going to be a problem. By the way, just gave away La Feta, voted Kansas City's number 2 new restaurant by the Kansas City Star right there at 143rd and Metcalf. Check out their rockin' lineup of gourmet sandwiches. They're online at lafetadeli.com. They do cater. Every sandwich comes with bread that is fresh that morning, combined with the freshest meats, cheeses, ingredients, sauces, all made to order. Great local Kansas City company, great people, great sandwiches at La Feta Italian Delicatessen at 143rd and Metcalf. You can look them up at lafettadeli.com. Danny's with us, brought to you by our friends at Easton Roofing, where integrity matters. Danny, does integrity matter when it comes to contracts in college basketball these days?
No. Well, I think it does. I think actually it does, because the schools end up paying most of the money despite their efforts to not do so. So, but no, their integrity in signing a contract and then because they're embarrassed by the fact they have to fire said coach and then taking every means necessary to try and get out of the contract that they stupidly entered into. Yeah, I would say that's accurate.
Do you believe Kansas has a case? Do you believe that Kansas has a case enough?
K-State, you mean?
Excuse me, K-State has enough of a case that they're going to save enough money to make it worthwhile to have basically their program, their administration bashed by everybody in college basketball for as long as it's been going on?
No, it's not. I don't think it's worth it, but I think they have a better case than most people are saying. I think they have a little bit better case than that. The language that I'm seeing, I think Jerome Tang did bring embarrassment on the university and its players. And I think it became a national story before he got fired in those few days when Kansas State couldn't possibly be basketball couldn't be a national story. It was impossible. They stink. You know, there was no reason for them to be a national story, and they were being talked about on, you know, with Michael Welbon and Tony Kornheiser, and because he, you know, basically said that the players didn't deserve to wear their uniform, and it was, you know, all this other stuff after saying that, like, you know, I mean, it was embarrassing. Now, to go into a court and get a judge to, you know, say, well, how embarrassing was it? Or this is more embarrassing. Or, you know, the other side's going to, Jerome Tang's got good lawyers, obviously. So, no, I don't think it's worth it. I think they do have a better case, but I don't think they're going to save anywhere close to all $18 million for the sake of $2 or $3 million to continue having you be a story when you don't want to be it. No, I don't think it's worth it.
Yeah, what do you think? Let's all throw. Maybe I need to do that on a. There can be only one. What the number ends up being. What do you think it's going to be?
I think that if I was going to guess the number, I would say 13.
Kurtis?
50.
I think he would settle for 13.
I don't think so. I don't think you hired the guy you hired, and I don't think he took to Twitter the way he took to Twitter, firing out on him, unless they feel like you ain't get squat. Listen, worse was done.
I know that.
Worse was done by Mick Cronin this week.
I don't think so.
I do. I do. I think Mick Cronin embarrassed UCLA basketball more than Jerome Tang, who actually, in my opinion, this is where I disagree with you, he stood up for the university. Right? And so anything you say that he put down on the players, which is part of his contract, he's not supposed to disparage the players.
Right.
He was celebrating and championing the university. He was saying those players aren't worthy of this place. That I love. That's so great. That's so wonderful. So I think it's going to be really, really difficult to go in there and be like, well, he set fire to the place. First of all, numerous reasons that also bomb their case. One, they waited 5 days to fire him. Cause is something you know immediately, as far as I'm concerned.
I agree with that.
He was assaulted for, domestic assault. Okay, cause.
Unacceptable.
Right? Unacceptable.
They played 4 more games.
Yes,
I was out of town.
Video. Here's video of him striking somebody, right? Striking a female assistant, in the athletic department. Gone. You don't wait 5 days. You don't need to get back to town. You don't need to meet with the president to get it done. That to me is cause, right? I don't know that the courts look at it that way, but that's my view of it. He waited 5 days to do it, or 4 days, or whatever it was.
Till the next game.
In the next game, he said is when he came to it. Then you try to negotiate with him. You try to negotiate. You said, and you're quoted in the Manhattan Mercury saying, well, we went to him and we said we would let him resign at the end of the year and we would come to an agreement on a number. Then you negotiated on the number. He came back and said, I want the 18.7. And you said, well, no, then we're going to fire you with cause. There's no or then we're going to fire you. That, to me, is one of the most damaging parts of the whole equation, is that you were going to negotiate it away.
Yeah, the last part that you just mentioned is
cause is this is completely
let him finish.
Unacceptable. Not like I'm not the most comfortable. To me, what he said is, I agree with you that it's not the best thing to say. I'm not the most comfortable. But Mick Cronin taking a player who had a foul in the game and getting up in his face and pointing him off and walking him down the bench and telling security to escort him off the court is a much worse look than a Jerome Tang sitting there exasperated off another bad loss and saying these guys don't deserve to wear the uniform, which is frankly what everybody in his fan base was saying as well.
I agree with that, but it says bring embarrassment to the players. He did bring embarrassment to the players for just playing poorly. The foul that the guy committed, the guy committed warranted his coach kicking him off.
Although I saw a video today, Cronin said he apologized to the player.
Yeah, because probably somebody went, hey, you know what's going on in Manhattan? Be careful.
He said
and he did made a bigger ass of himself.
He did make an ass of himself.
He made a bigger ass of himself in the post game.
Didn't apologize to the reporter.
Yeah, talking to the reporter. You raising your voice at me? Like that asinine response. Make sure we have that as a drop. I want to be able to.
Raising your voice at me?
Yeah, there you go. Danny, watch yourself when you get all fired up.
Mick Cronin's got a little man disease going.
Yeah. Well, but I so for me, but I want to clarify. For bringing, I can't remember. It's just bringing
disrepute
to the university, the team, the players, within reason. The within reason is an important part, because if it's bring disparity, then anytime he goes, he didn't play well, let's fire him. That's disrepute. He said he didn't play well. We need somebody out there saying, boy, all our guys try hard. The within reason means, okay. And I think all like if I were the attorney for him, I would be having one of my legal interns working up, go get me literally every press conference that you can find online with a coach running down his players. And then I would submit it.
He did more than running down the players.
But
he said none of these players are going to be back here, and they don't deserve to wear the uniform. You don't hear a coach say that too often.
He said many of them. And I think that's an important, if we're going to get litigious here, he said many of them, because that does mean that he didn't say this guy, and this guy. Theoretically, he could be like, no, this is my tech. They've got to earn their way back on.
He said these guys. I don't think he said many of them.
Anyway,
it doesn't matter.
I think it does matter.
There's enough legalese in here that like I said, I don't think it's worth it for Kansas State to do this. I think they should just say, this is just going to be an ongoing embarrassment to the university. Is it worth saving $3 to $5 million? Which is, to me, the best case scenario is probably them having to pay him $13 million. But I don't even know how, if they go into a court of law, if the judge can have a sliding scale, or he can just say they're right or they're right. I don't know. Is this an arbitration case, or is this
what a judge can do is, maybe having been through some settlements in my day,
say get together and
listen. Where are we at? And then if you're and then they'll be like, well, we're at this, well, we're at that. You need to get it together,
right?
So bring the numbers
right.
We're going this direction. Like they will, that does happen in smaller cases. I've never been involved in a case like this, but
if it happens in smaller cases, that's what can happen.
I think if K-State's like, well, we're offering $250K, and Tang's lawyer goes in there and goes 16.5, I think the judge will be like, I'm giving him 16.5. Just get in there, and here comes the case.
Right.
This is ridiculous. Like you're wasting the court's time, and that's to me the bigger issue here. Like there are real lawsuits out there. Mm-hmm. There are people that have been hurt. There are people that have been wronged, and this is a millionaire coach,
right,
fighting with a multi-million-dollar athletic department.
Right, because what did he make during his 4 years?
I mean,
because he renegotiated twice, so he was on this contract. He was making 5, wasn't he? Or
no, he was 3.5 or something like that.
So he probably made $8 million.
No, probably 10, 12.
Maybe. Okay, I was trying to be low, but
I'm thinking he got in at like 2 something, and then he got the raise after the Elite Eight, which was decent, and then the next raise wasn't much of a raise. It was just this buyout. This we're extending the years, and you've got the security of knowing we're never gonna fire you, because this is such a big number, we would never do it, right? And so that was kind of the way I understood it. But whatever it is, let's call it 10. I mean,
I am a little surprised that there just hasn't been more momentum for Gene Taylor getting the axe. I hear some rumblings about it from K-Staters, but not that much.
Well, I think part of that is a lie, because Tim Fitzgerald told us that Gene Taylor kind of made it clear to people he was going to be retiring within the next year.
I know. So,
well, which to me is, how would you let that guy pick your next coach?
Exactly.
Because you're like, oh, they want to go after the Utah State coach, who's also a Cincinnati grad. I think he'll probably go to Cincinnati. But if all money's equal, I think he'll go to Cincinnati. But if you give him $400,000 more per year, well, under normal circumstances where you're going to work for the guy who's hiring you, I think that one might be enough to say, no, alma mater, if you're not going to give it to me. But if I'm looking at, wait a minute, I got to work for those guys? And this guy's going to be gone, and then the president got sideways with the coach twice in 4 years. Once, when he was just coming off an Elite Eight. I'm not working for that. I'll take the Cincinnati job.
I agree. There's many negatives there, and Gene Taylor's definitely one of them. If he's openly saying that he's going to...
Linton.
Right, if he's going to retire and might get fired before then, there's no job security there.
I don't understand Gene Taylor's comments during the press conference for Chris Kleiman. I cannot. That is one of the most underrated and underreported things in college athletics in my mind. Just talking about how the system is wrong and it cost us this guy. Everyone can complain about the system and all that, and that we need guardrails. But his disgust and frustration, it is what it is. Your job is to manage the system. I mean, to me, it was almost like Chris Kleiman's quitting, but it didn't have anything to do with me. It was this horrible system we've got. The one you've got to continue to be an athletic director in.
Well, the other part is, what kind of a man are you? If you're going to say it's a disgusting situation, your good buddy just quit because of it, well, why don't you quit if it's so awful?
I agree.
This quality man we just lost, well, he was making more money than me. He was in a better position to quit. That's all we're talking about here, really, is that he didn't want to quit.
And here's the other thing. Blair Kirchhoff told us that Kleiman's now doing something at the administration. So he walked out, won't take questions, but now he's back in the office. What? Like, if you're after the system's so screwed, we lost him.
Now he's fundraising.
Now he's here. Now he's fundraising.
Or whatever he's doing.
What?
It's got to be part of it. It's got to be fundraising. What else?
I don't know
what he do.
But I mean, like, what are we doing?
Yeah, it's not good.
It's not good. Danny Cleekskill's with us. He's always good. Brought to you by our friends at Easton Roofing. They're always great. Whether it's a roof over your home, whether it's a roof over your business, no money collected until you're 100% satisfied. Working the entire metro, including Lawrence and Topeka. Find them online at eastonroofing.com. That's eastonroofing.com, founded on integrity.
The program with Soren Petro.
It's like part elephant trunk, but only about, 2 inches long? Kurtis, you'd know about that.
Weekdays from 2 to 6 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Listen, when I shop for jewelry, there's only one store I go to. It's 95th and Antioch. Southeast corner, it's Joslin's Jewelry. Gary and his staff are absolutely fantastic. Born and raised right here in Kansas City, almost 50 years in business. Look, I love when I walk in the door. Everyone's genuinely excited to see you. They love having you come in. They love talking jewelry with their customers. They're experts in it, and it's what they love to do. Listen, whether you want an engagement ring or you want a birthday gift or you want something for yourself, Joslin's Jewelry has hundreds of excellent choices, of unique choices that you're not going to find anywhere else. And you're always getting the very best. Other jewelers will put a bunch of little diamonds together, add up the carats, and then advertise it as this big number. Not Gary Joslin, right? At Joslin's Jewelry, if it says it's a carat, it's a carat. That's what he's about. The best jewelry at the fairest prices. Look, Gary says it all the time. He doesn't want your money. He wants your business. He wants to be your jeweler for years, like he's been my jeweler for 20 years. So if you're in the market to buy a gift and you're in the market to find something for yourself, or you just want to go in and have a great time checking out the jewelry, go to Jocelyn's Jewelry. They're on the southeast corner of 95th and Antioch, and they do everything a jeweler should do, like repairs, like estimates. If you need an appraisal, they've got it all right there at Jocelyn's Jewelry. So don't wait. Go to 95th and Antioch right now or check them out online at jocelynsjewelry.com. They're the jewelry you'll recommend to your friends just like I recommend to my friends. It's Jocelyn's Jewelry at 95th and Antioch, the gold standard in fine jewelry.
Robert Brogdon's Olathe Buick GMC has been Kansas City's choice for over 30 years. With the selection you want and the savings you need. Get incredible offers on new vehicles like up to $14,000 off the new GMC Sierra trucks or up to $7,500 off new Buick SUVs. They've also got APR financing as low as 0% and no payments for 120 days available. Choose from over 300 vehicles in stock. Visit I-35 in Santa Fe or robertbrogdon.com. Offers may not be combined. Length of term varies for special APR. Must qualify and finance through GMF.
Ready to ramp up the excitement, golf fans? BetMGM is making your next golf tournament winner bets even better with Second Chance. What's Second Chance?
Danny Unleashed is always brought to you by our friends at Easton Roofing. Integrity matters. Listen, I'm going to tell you what you don't want is those roofing companies that just come by, knock on your door, or I'll tell you this, there might be in my neighborhood somebody who's roofing company and the truck changes the name like every 6 months. There's actually two trucks with two different names. Be careful. Easton Roofing's been Easton Roofing for years, locally owned and operated, family owned. Since the beginning. Yes, since the beginning. That is a company that you can check their reputation online, Easton Roofing, where integrity matters. Danny Rashi Rice, lawsuit levied against him. Allegations, not right. Convictions. What do the Chiefs do in this situation?
Well, I don't think they're just going to. What we've seen in the past is the Chiefs just aren't in the business, except for one time
Cut Kareem Hunt.
Yeah. But
There
besides
is a
that,
line somewhere.
There is a line somewhere. I think that included video, did it not?
It did have video.
Right.
They say it's because he lied to him. I say it's because of the video.
Yeah,
but
I agree with you there.
I mean, they
so
can say,
they
well, the
probably are
video
going to walk
confirmed
away.
the
I
lie.
mean, it's what we have here is that he's going to be he's going to be Antonio Brown. He's going to be, there's going to be problems all along the way. I mean, that's the most likely scenario. So you just have to decide. Maybe there's somebody out there who I'd probably trade him for a fourth right this second.
Who? You think you could get a fourth?
No. But I didn't say that. but I would. I would trade him for a
I'd trade him
fourth.
for 2 firsts.
I brought up his name to trade. People are like, we're going to trade him. I'm like, he's going into the final year of his deal. How good do you think he is?
Right.
And do you think you can count on him? Like, if you're not going to sign him, why wouldn't you trade him with a year to go? Like, that's what the Chiefs got to get to. One, there can't be these years that they don't play after drafting him high, like the Felix Onyedike Uzamas and Spagnuolo not wanting to play Jaden Hicks and all these guys. Like, you got to burn the boats and get the young guys on the field. And then if you're not going to sign them, trade them. You need to be flipping them and getting more picks.
Well, I think he's proved now he's going to be trouble all along the way. Guys like this usually don't change their stripes when we see this many things happen this fast.
Okay. Danny, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, Canada won the first ever Olympic gold medal in ice hockey. What was unique about it? Brought to you by Nick and Jake's. Don't miss their Winter Olympics menu all during the Winter Games.
Pack your bags, start the car, and get on the road. It's time to go across the country, 2 minutes at a time, for the biggest stories of the day, where they're happening.
Detroit, Michigan, Boston, Massachusetts, Las Vegas, Nevada, New York, Cleveland, Ohio, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
It's the 2-minute drill on the program.
Second half of the program begins right now. We're going around the country 2 minutes at a time, talking to the people covering the stories where they're happening. It's brought to you by our friends at Joslin's Jewelry, our buddy Gary Joslin. Great jeweler. He is wears the term mom and pop jewelry store with pride. Some people like to throw that around and act like it's a negative. He loves it. I'll tell you why, because it means he's actually a jeweler and not just somebody who has a few rings. In a bunch of cases at the mall, Gary does repairs, Gary does appraisals. Gary is truly a jeweler, and he knows what a beautiful diamond looks like. Only scintillating diamonds are good enough for Gary, so if it's time to ask that most important question, almost 1,000 engagement rings to choose from, Joslin Jewelry is your place to go. It's where I've been going for jewelry for more than 20 years. They love to do repairs, done over 100,000 repairs over the course of almost 50 years. Joslin's Jewelry, voted the #1 jewelry store by Ingram's Magazine, the gold standard in fine jewelry. You can find them on the southeast corner of 95th and Antioch. You can see them online at joslinsjewelry.com. Let's get things going on the drill. In Tampa, Florida, we start with Pat Donovan, WDAE in Tampa. Pat, how are you, sir?
I am well. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing really well. Mike Evans, is he done in Tampa, or is some kind of contract still coming? We're going through the same thing here with Travis Kelce being a free agent and being someone that I'm sure the organization doesn't want to go anywhere else. What's the situation like down there in Tampa with Evans?
Yeah, I mean, there seems to be smoke around the potential of him looking into free agency. It's really hard for me to imagine. I remember last year, or the last time when he re-signed, his contract, he was kind of asked about, well, what if he had gone to Houston? There was some talk, obviously, he grew up in Houston, about going there. Maybe Kansas City would be a place where he would make sense because they could use some help at wide receiver, and obviously Mike's been one of the best in the game for a long time. But I just remember him standing in front of all of us and being like, yeah, I wasn't going anywhere. My wife didn't want to leave. And it's hard for me to imagine that has changed. And I think if he does decide to leave, it's damning for Todd Bowles and for Baker Mayfield, to be 100% honest with you, because certainly Baker's a guy that, Mike talked about how much he loved to play with, and if suddenly he's going to go elsewhere, it's not like he needs the money. It's about something else.
Yeah, it is, but it's also about the cost to the Bucs, right? Like, I think Travis Kelce coming back, hey, I'm on board for $7-8 million. He wants $18 million that he made last year. No go. So where are the Bucs cap-wise, and how much will they pay him for being a career Buck?
Yeah, they're in decent shape. They're about middle of the pack cap-wise. I'll be honest with you. I pay attention to the cap. It's important, and you have to know where teams are. But at the same time, like as what you just saw with Patrick Mahomes redoing his contract, I feel like it's all fake money. I feel like everybody's got $1 billion to spend, and I know that's not really the case. But to me, Mike Evans is a guy that if he wants to be there, and you fit him under the cap. And he's a guy that's taken, I don't want to say team-friendly deals, because he made a bunch of money in his lifetime, but if he wanted to be the guy that a lot of receivers are in this league, as you know, and say, I need the money now, he could have done it earlier in his career and made a lot more money than he would at this stage of his career. So, once again, it's kind of why I feel like they find a way to get it done and keep him here.
Okay. Juggling the coaching staff, Zach Robinson in as the offensive coordinator. We know they lost Liam Cohen to the Jaguars last year. Where does this put Todd Bowles? They've been pretty good under Todd Bowles, winning division titles. Got a little tougher, didn't make the playoffs. Is he on the hot seat headed into next year?
I think he's on as hot of a seat as there is in football, to be honest with you. There was reports, and I don't know if I believe them necessarily 100%, because that they reached out to John Harbaugh. I like do that a lot. I do that on my show constantly. My co-host and boss want to kill me half the time I'm calling him Jim. But supposedly they had reached out to John Harbaugh, and he had said, well, he wanted his own GM. It's hard to imagine him wanting to push out a guy like Jason Light here in Tampa Bay, but being just fine with Joe Shane in New York. So that part of the story is a little difficult to believe, but supposedly they had reached out. And the Bucs are a team, and this is an ownership group that wants to win. They're not afraid to go big-name hunting in the offseason when it comes to coaches. As you know, trading first-round draft picks years ago for John Gruden. So I think that this is a team that's at a tipping point. where they thought they had a real chance to compete for a Super Bowl this year, and it looked like it early on, and then they fell off the face of the planet. Things have to be better, and I think significantly better in 2026 for Todd Bowles and the Buccaneers.
15th pick in the draft this year. What is the dream scenario for pick 15?
A pass rusher. I mean, a pass rusher badly. This is a team that, for the draft, and, there's some guys that are going to go probably earlier than 15, right? But you just hope that somebody slides when it comes to that pick, because this is a team that needs help at pass rusher. I've said, even if you were to trade for a Max Crosby, which I think is a pipe dream that Bucs fans want to hear, but even if you were to get a high-end elite pass rusher, I don't think you should be done if you're the Buccaneers. They've got one guy that gets after the quarterback at all, and it's Yaya Diaby. And Yaya's a good young player, but on his own, certainly not enough. They need help at outside linebacker in the draft, in free agency. I mean, they need to attack that position. There's not a lot of guys in free agency that you can really look at that position. So they need to find pass rushers desperately, whether it's the draft or free agency this offseason.
Yeah, that's interesting. If that's something that they need really, really bad, pick 9. Would they want to move up to pick number 9? Can we make a deal right here between these two teams? The Chiefs could use extra picks. Would you like to come to 9 and get your dream pass rusher?
Yeah, listen, I think a lot of Bucs fans think that sounds very attractive, and I love the idea. And it's not that Jason Light never moves up. He moved up a pick to get Tristan Wirfs in the first round, and that's really worked out for him. But they've also made moves in the past that haven't. To me, Jason Light's a guy that does not like to part with his draft capital, and you know this as well as I do. When you're moving up in the first round, especially into the top 10, that's typically an additional first-round pick to make that move, even up just 6 spots. And if that's the case, it's hard for me to imagine Jason pulling the trigger on a move like that.
76.5 win total for the Rays. Do the odds makers have it right?
Yeah, I think they do. I want to be really optimistic about this team. I'm excited for Shane McClanahan, who it seems like is finally going to get back on the mound this season. There's a lot of young players here I really like. Obviously, everybody knows Junior Caminero is a superstar, but Carson Williams, a young shortstop prospect that they like a lot. Chandler Simpson was, a really exciting player last year, and I think he's just starting to reach his potential offensively, and his speed once he's on the base paths makes him electric. But you look around the AL East, and I don't know if everybody got better, but everybody, I don't think, got worse, and the Rays may have. I'm not very optimistic about this lineup. The pitching staff is okay. I think it's been better in years past. And to me, the way this team operates, they don't have or don't spend the money on the lineup. And they need, through the history of this franchise since I've been in Tampa Bay now, almost 20 years, they need elite pitching to succeed here. I just don't think they're there.
The Rays released renderings of their proposed ballpark and mixed-use district. How close are we to, shovel going in the ground and the Rays having a new home on the horizon?
I don't think we're that close, but also at the same time, this is an ownership group that's got a very aggressive plan, and they say their plan is to open the building in 2029. Even if they drop shovels today, I feel like that might be difficult, right? Like we're getting pretty close to be starting in 2029. I think there's a lot of hurdles to leap, as there always have been here in Tampa Bay, to get a ballpark done. I think they've got the right ownership group to do that. Patrick Zalewski and Ken Babby and some of these people that they brought in, Major League Baseball, they won't say it, but they were a big part of that happening. They were a big part. Stu Sternberg didn't just decide he didn't want the Rays one day. It was like, okay, you know what? You're not getting it done. We need to bring somebody in here who can. And I think they've done that. So there's some big hurdles to leap. But I also think they've got the right group in to do that.
Pat Donovan in Tampa, Florida. Great job. We appreciate it. Have yourself a fantastic weekend.
And you too, my friend.
That's right. Alex Barth, 98.5, the Sports Hub in Boston, Massachusetts is next. Alex, how are you, sir?
Good. How we doing?
Very good. Fallout from the Super Bowl. I don't think anybody thought going into the year. I think a turnaround. I think maybe even the playoffs was a possibility because of the ease of schedule and the fact that you got what I think was one of the top coaches in the NFL. But I don't think anybody thought Super Bowl. Where's the level of disappointment after a frustrating end to what was a fantastic season?
Oh, I mean, there's disappointment for sure. How could there not be? They lost the Super Bowl. But I think after, some more initial gut reactions, it's kind of settled down into, they still have work to do, but there's a good start, a promising start, and they're ahead of schedule in the recognition of that. So this one, I feel like, could hurt more in hindsight than in the moment. Like a lot of Patriots fans have pointed out, doesn't feel as bad as losing the perfect season in 2007 or, the chance to go back-to-back in 2017 against the Eagles. It doesn't hit like that, but, you hope they get back and you hope there's sustained success here. If they become like the Bengals, this one could hurt a lot more in hindsight than like, man, that was their shot and everything kind of fell their way and they couldn't get it done and they missed their opportunity. Hopefully it doesn't become that, but I think that's when it would really hurt.
I think that's a really smart reaction because that is kind of like the worst case scenario where it's like, oh, we arrived, but we're going to have many more of these. Joe Burrow's actually proven that it looks like he is the quarterback, that he's not the problem, but it does prove that won't do everything. But it is a lot of the answer. Drake May had a tough Super Bowl, didn't have a great playoffs. Where's the confidence level that Drake May is the guy long-term and not just a steroided-up version of Mac Jones?
It's still high. Look, they got to get more help around him. That's first and foremost. I think that shoulder injury was probably more serious than they had let on and than he had let on. He, talked all week going into the game about how he was fine, and then after the game says he got an injection in the shoulder. So, and you kind of saw it in the way he was throwing the ball. So, the stretch he had in the middle of the regular season, he was never going to be that guy consistently. That's just not realistic. The idea is, can he be close to that regularly as opposed to the guy he was in the playoffs? He's still a young quarterback. The consistency is going to come, and it's only going to help as they get more talent around him.
And a shuffling, it kind of happened in season of the change of the defensive coordinators, but you feel good about where the coaching staff is, that everything's on board with where they want to go. I know Kerr taking over for Williams. Is the coaching staff pretty stable and feel good about where that is moving forward?
Oh, yeah, that was so Troy Williams was diagnosed with cancer a week into the season, so he had to step away. Zach Core had been the defensive play caller since week 2. It was a little shaky at the start, but, by the end, he had that defense humming. They allowed, I think it was 12 points per game in the playoffs. So it's a logical spot for him to go. Terrell Williams goes to more of an advisor role. Terrell Williams was still the defense coordinator. They never took that title from him, and they didn't want to lose both. So to find a way to keep everybody, they had to get a little creative with it, but it shows that they have a strong coaching pipeline. I feel great about where the coaching staff is at.
All right, let's talk about the Boston Red Sox. First of all, did they solve the hole for Alex Bregman by the move they made for Caleb Durbin? Is there more on the way? We kept hearing about how there's too many outfielders. We kept hearing them linked to the Royals. As we watched pitcher after pitcher go to Boston, we began to realize ain't nothing happening with the Royals and Red Sox. But is everything settled, or could they still be looking to maneuver some things?
They could always look to move, but the Red Sox go to the beat of their own drum. If they're not getting the value back for a player that they're looking to trade that they believe that player's worth, even if 29 other teams say no, he's not worth that much, they're going to believe in their evaluation, and they're going to hold on to the guy. And if that means they have too many outfielders, if that means they don't have a real second baseman, if that means their bullpen's kind of a mess, so be it. That's just kind of how they've operated the better part of the last 10 years. So maybe it changes at the deadline. They get a little more desperate one way or the other. They're really making a run or they're out of the playoffs, but they kind of do what they do. And they're bound to the math and they're bound to the analytics. So they will absolutely keep too many outfielders coming into the season. They will try to replace Alex Bregman in the aggregate while simultaneously replacing Rafael Devers in the aggregate. This is just what they do. The results don't necessarily speak well for it, but it's the way they continue to operate.
I will say this, at least they don't, there can be a case made that they don't overreact, right, and just make a panic move the moment somebody leaves. They tend to say, okay, we'll make a move if it makes sense. Maybe it doesn't get done this year, maybe it gets done next year, or is that giving them too much grace that they've got a big budget, go ahead and spend the money and get it done?
They've been better about that in recent years. I would say the last signing like that was Trevor Story. You go back to David Price, he was absolutely that guy. That was a reaction to them losing John Lester, but we're going way back now. They don't do that, but that's because I think that they find reason in moving on from a lot of the good players they move on from. They're kind of behind it. They talked about, Alex Bregman didn't want to be here, which isn't true. But I think they see it as baseball justified moving on from some of these guys, or at least that's how they try to spin it.
Roman Anthony will move on from spring training to the WBC, 21 years old, youngest guy on the WBC squad. Is this, so I don't know how different teams react different ways. They like the idea of him being on this, getting this kind of experience, or would they rather see him in spring training?
I think it's going to be great for him. I do. He's 21 years old. Shouldn't worry too much about wear and tear. I know he had the injury at the end of last year, but it's going to be a great experience for him to get around a bunch of good ball players, soak up information. I don't know how much he'll play, but at least should get some run in some relatively high-pressure environments. He missed the playoffs last year with that injury. I think it's going to be a great opportunity. I'm excited for it. If he was a pitcher, I'd be a little more worried because there's the wear and tear on the arm, but I think for a guy that's mostly going to be in the dugout to begin with, great opportunity for him to get some tremendous learning experience.
And did I bury the lead? I know how precious the uniforms are in Boston, that the Red Sox, apparently the fans not liking the way the uniform looked, and they're changing the spacing of the letters. Are we okay on that? Is it going to be okay? Because like I said, I know the unis are sacred in Boston. You add black to the Celtics uniform, there could be a riot in the streets. Like, are we okay with the Red Sox uniform coming out of spring training?
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't know how much you guys have seen the stuff that's going on with Fanatics. This has been a big thing in Boston the last few weeks because the Super Bowl jerseys weren't available. They weren't selling the Super Bowl jerseys. The patch on them, the gear was pretty substandard for what we've seen in the past. And obviously, Patriots fans, as you guys know in Kansas City, you can get into a routine with the Super Bowl, and we can compare this year's Super Bowl gear versus previous year's Super Bowl gear. So people are already mad at Fanatics, and they come out with this jersey where the letters are just running over like the buttons and the seams on the jersey, and it just looked cheap. It looked really cheap, and people called them out, and I think it's more of a Fanatics issue than a Red Sox issue, but I don't know how many fans Fanatics has across all of sports. Certainly not in Boston right now.
Yeah, okay. All right, finally, the Boston Celtics, and probably, and maybe that's just me not recognizing how good they are everywhere else, but when you lose a great player like Jason Tatum, you don't think the team's going to be number 2 in the East. It was supposed to be a rebuilding year, and I even heard people talking about lottery for the Celtics and how great it would be when he came back to add another top-shelf player. Here they are, number 2, and there's talk of Tatum coming back. Any news on whether or not he will be in that rotation by the time the postseason rolls around?
So the strong rumor right now is March 1st. That's a game against the Sixers. Tatum has said he wants to return at home. It's a home game. There's, rumblings he wants to return around his birthday. That is, a couple days before his birthday. It's on the 3rd. And there is a documentary docu-series about his comeback that will be coming out that is from NBC, which is what that Sunday, March 1st game was flexed to. So, it's kind of the bride and wind horse. What's going on here? Why are they doing all of this? Some people have also floated the Hornets game, which is on March 4th, as another potential return. But everything sounds like early March. And, yeah, they've given them something to come back to. I do think second in the East is more about how bad the rest of the East is than how good the Celtics are. But they've definitely punched above their weight without Tatum. They've gotten tremendous performance from some of their young players, Jordan Walsh, Hugo Gonzalez, guys like that. Jaylen Brown has been outstanding, of course. They weren't going to be able to do it without him. But they've given him something to come back for, and it sounds like he may get, a month or more to get back in the swing of things before the playoffs start.
Yeah, and an inexperienced in the postseason Pistons squad is all that's atop them in the standings. I know a lot of people are big on the Knicks. The Cavaliers reshuffle the deck to try to make a run at it, so maybe it'll be tougher than the division. I agree with you. I think your assessment of the East is right, but I think there is the potential for a couple of those teams to be better than they look, the Celtics being the most important one of the bunch. Alex Barth, always great stuff. We really appreciate it. Have yourself a great weekend, my friend.
Thank you. You too.
You don't know by now, I'm talking about Chi-Town.
That's right, Judson Richards, 670 The Score in Chicago, Illinois is next. He was going to lead off today, and then he said he needed a little bit more time, and then he said he needed a little bit more time, and then he said he needed a little bit more time, so we finally get to Judson, and I guess, Judson, my first question is, did you give it a name?
Did I give it a name? I don't know what that means, Soren.
Okay. I don't know if you're in labor or just in the bathroom? I'm not sure what was going on there. But
well, you mean the car accident I got into when I was texting with your producers about
is that it was a car? I thought you were in the bathroom. My bad. Okay. All right.
No, yes, I did give it a name. I took a Soren and wiped my Petro. That's what I did.
Oh, that's a great response. I love it. That's fantastic. All right, let's get to some Chicago news. The Bears in Indiana. Is this a done deal now? It seems like, dominoes keep falling that seem like the Bears are going that direction.
No, it's certainly not is a done deal, Soren. The thing about done deals is they're done when someone says that they're done. The Bears have played themselves into a really beautiful place where they either have incredible leverage because of what Indiana is willing to offer them stadium-wise, or they can just go ahead and take the incredible offer that is on the table for them. The question is, and there's a couple questions. Number one is, will Illinois come close? Well, they will come nowhere near matching what Indiana will offer, strictly because they just have more surplus money available. Illinois cannot do that. But will they come up with the $855 million for infrastructure, for roads and such for coming into now? It sounds like they will do that. And then the Bears need tax certainty. Will they allow Arlington Heights, the site in Illinois where they own property, so they have tax certainty so they know what they're paying for year in, year out. Those things I do think are very, very likely. Now, if the deal is still so good, is George McCaskey, who comes from the Hallis family, and George Hallis, there's this book called The League. It's a really great book about how the NFL came about. I'm not kidding. The first 30 pages is all about George Hallis, right? The first order of the Chicago Bears. That's how much he has to do with this thing we call the NFL. Is there true loyalty from the McCaskies who care about history, who care about tradition, who care about a legacy? George Hallis was a star at the University of Illinois. Does it mean enough for them? Yes, they will be called the Chicago Bears of Indiana. Do they want to hear that forever? Or is there real loyalty about the state where this all began?
Yeah, I think that's a big question. Where is the population? I mean, Chicago is a big sprawling, and it does spill over into Indiana. People don't need to think this isn't 100 miles away from the center of Chicago. It even kind of spills all the way up into Michigan. If you go up the lake into like Michigan City, Indiana. And then on up into, I forget what the first city is in Michigan up there, but kind of the resort communities that are up there. But where does this sit? Because, we obviously had the Chiefs leave and go from one state to another, but Kansas City really does kind of sprawl almost equally on both sides of the state line. So, they got further away from some of their population base, but got a lot closer to others. Are they what is, how much are they distancing the northern Chicago people? How much of the population base has spilled and is now growing in Indiana? Are they getting closer to in this case, there are a lot of people say, hey, the season ticket holders tend to be on the Kansas side, so you get closer to the season ticket holders by moving to Kansas. What's the demographics look like there for Chicago with this move, if this move happens?
The season ticket holders really are closer to the Arlington Heights location. However, from the Chicago city line and city limits, Camden, Indiana is closer than Arlington Heights is. We're kind of talking about the distance of moving 25 miles away for Hammond to more like 32 miles away for the suburb of Arlington Heights. Northwest Indiana people, they really consider themselves Chicagoans. They are Chicago sports fans. So it's not a big surprise that Indiana was willing to make a play for the team there because of that proximity. But no, the distance is not a major factor. Now, to your point about season ticket holders, it would be moving further away from what that base is. I think the bigger question is, because they bought the racetrack, right? They bought a famous racetrack at Arlington Heights. They own that land. There is plenty of room for a stadium and far, far more to do your shopping centers and your hotels and whatnot. The question is, do they believe perhaps long-term, 35 years out of owning that property, can they then get more of it from an ownership standpoint versus, because, they're already arriving with $2 billion on the table willing to spend in the stadium. But distance is not a factor. The question more is about the sweetheart deal of what Indiana is willing to give them, and do they want to actually move a Chicago, Illinois team to a different state?
Yeah. All right. Let's talk a little bit about what the Bears are going to do in free agency. Losing some big names on defense. What's the plan, do you think, for this offseason?
You know, it's interesting. They're going to have to do some restructuring. There will be some cap casualties. I think some of the big names. Tremaine Edmonds could be a guy. You know, Tremaine didn't really pop at all from the player they were hoping to get from the Buffalo Bills, except for the first half of the season. They moved him to weak side linebacker, and he was really, really shining under Dennis Allen. Got hurt, did not have a great second half of the year. So is he going to be a cap casualty? Cole Kmet, right, because they're about $9 million over the cap, but they have, they can be very flexible, whether they restructure deals or actually cut some guys. And DeAndre Swift is another name from a running back position where he may also be able to free up some room. But he was really their primary back for a team that became a run-first team. So, do they cut some very recognizable players? And then, the fun conversation, Soren, seems to be, it's even more fun when Caleb Williams goes on Max Crosby's podcast, where because the Bears have Caleb Williams still on a rookie deal, as we know, that may be a time where your rookie quarterback can have his best team, right? The actual best his roster can be talent-wise before they have to pay him near the top or the very top when he does hit that second contract. Do they do something squirrely and get weird and perhaps make a play for Max Crosby? Would the Raiders want to put their young new quarterback in better hands with a guy like DJ Moore, right? Would they be willing to swap for a first-rounder and DJ Moore if they were to trade a wide receiver? You hear that the Raiders want 2 firsts for Max Crosby. That's kind of a lot for a 29-year-old, not coming off of a great year. He'll be 29 this season. So, there's a lot in play, but first the Bears have to make a decision about who they want off their team before they can really go out and bolster a defensive line. They almost have no safeties on the tee as of now because Kevin Byard, a free agent, as is Jaquan Brisker. So questions about the team that they have and the questions that they want the team they want to go out and build.
Okay. All right. We'll see what they end up getting done. Eric Bieniemy, Andre Curtis, both coaches from that Bears staff that are coming to Kansas City. Any reaction to them leaving?
Well, everybody loved Eric Bieniemy. I don't know necessarily as an offensive coordinator. There's not a lot of better jobs out there to have than to be under Ben Johnson, right? Declan Doyle, the offensive coordinator, did not call any plays, and he got an offensive coordinator job calling plays. So, Eric Bieniemy's already built a great resume, and the Bears had a really, really great rushing attack. But as of now, this thing all runs through Ben Johnson, and the coaches, I'm sure, are very talented. They seem to be at their best. A lot of coaches seem to be at their best when they're underneath Ben Johnson.
The Bulls really shuffle the deck. They make 7 trades at the NBA deadline. What does this mean? What's the trajectory of the franchise? Where's the arrow pointing?
That is a great question, Soren. If you have answers, I'd love to hear them. They've lost 7 in a row, so they have a win or they have a loss for every player that they traded for. It's hard to keep up. It's like, okay, Anthony Simons, Colin Sexton's on this team. Jaden Ivey was a DNP, and then they asked him about it, and he said the old Jaden Ivey is dead.
Yeah.
The new Jaden Ivey just kind of went on and on about his faith, and that almost made more sense than the state that the Bulls are in, who have collected, I think, 127 second-round picks as of now. I just pray they're not in the play-in tournament, Soren. But ultimately, what they're going to do to make this team anywhere near competitive in the near future, underneath this ownership, the Reinsdorf, same as the Chicago White Sox, and underneath Arturas Karnisovas, I have no idea. They are stuck in the middle for what feels like eternity.
Yeah, it's 7 straight. It's 10 of 11, right? Like it should be pointed out.
Yeah.
It's even worse than it feels with what you just said there. And I have found. Listen, I'm Catholic and believe in faith and all that. I'm certainly not at the front of the line of the club, but I'm not at the back of the line either. But I have found something that guides me well. That when I hope in one hand and I crap in the other. One hand fills up much faster. You know, so that's concerning to hear that from Jaden Ivey. I live by the adage my mom told me my entire youth: the Lord helps those who help themselves, son. So you know, maybe we'll see what happens with the Bulls. Maybe they helped themselves. Maybe they didn't. By the way, White Sox and Cubs. We're very excited about what middle of the pack for the White Sox, or no, still dead last, and do the Cubs have any shot?
Yeah. The White Sox, I think, would be sensational if they could get to 70 wins. And if that sounds negative, I would just go say take a look at their starting rotation and tell me where you're going to find more victories. The Cubs, to me, the Cubs won 92 games last year, got to the divisional round. I think the Cubs have a legitimate shot to win 93, 94, 95 games. In fact, I mean, it's the other argument. Like their starting rotation is incredibly deep. They went and got Edward Cabrera from the Marlins. They're going to get Justin Steele back for close to an entire season, really the ace of the staff. And then Cade Horton, who was arguably the best pitcher in the second half last year, they could get Cade for a full season. And then you get, you lose Kyle Tucker. I'll take Alex Bregman over Kyle Tucker, a better defensive player, more importantly at third base. And his numbers are about the same. And, Kyle Tucker looks like he was exhausted breathing, just being in the locker room. Like there was no leadership there at all. Alex Bregman seemed to take a real effort in making guys better. If they want to win 95 games, he's going to have to make Pico Armstrong better, right? That was a starting center fielder in the NL All-Star game who dramatically fell off. His chase rate abysmal, his swing and miss rate abysmal. He's got all the talent in the world. Can he figure it out? I think Alex Bregman perhaps could be a great answer for that.
Great stuff as always, Judson. We appreciate it. Let's avoid the demolition derby, and we'll talk to you again real soon.
Soren, always a good time, buddy. I appreciate it.
All right, the Nick and Jake's Winter Olympics answer. Canada won the first ever Olympic gold medal in ice hockey. What was unique about it?
What was unique about it?
Mm-hmm.
They won one game.
Nope.
Well, they won 2 games.
What the number of games? I just learned this today.
I don't know.
They won it at the 1920 Summer Olympics in Antwerp, Belgium.
Oh, wow.
That was the first games which ice hockey was introduced. Tournament also served as the first World Championships. Canada won the gold. Silver went to the U.S. Czechoslovakia took the bronze.
Okay. You learn something new every day.
The 1920 Summer Olympics in April of 1920.
That's fantastic. Nick and Jake's has a great lineup. You fish eaters today, you can get a wonderful selection. All kinds of things, whether it's the lobster mac and cheese, all their different fillets. Go check it out. They've got a great seafood menu for you, including some great Cajun options on there filled with the seafood. So go to Nick and Jake's tonight if you're looking for a great place. A lot of places won't cater to the folks that are eating the fish on the Fridays. Nick and Jake's got a great menu, all kinds of seafood items that'll help you out. Go see them. 3 locations around the metro. Great place to go watch some Olympics, some college basketball this weekend. The TVs are everywhere in the bars, both sides of the state line, whether it's dine-in, carry-out, or delivery. It's Nick and Jake's. They're online at nickandjakes.com.
By the way, the gold medal matchup on the men's side is set.
And?
The U.S. has finally brushed off a game Slovakia team who tried to rally in the third period, but 2-0 in the first, 3 goals in the second for a 5-0 lead. U.S. wins 6-2. They'll take on Canada in the gold medal match on Sunday. Canada got by Finland today 3-2.
I think Canada will be a favorite in that as well.
Yeah.
I think I saw one when they got up 5-0. They posted some odds. I think it was like minus 120 for Canada pick for the U.S. I actually thought Canada might be a bigger favorite than that, but I think didn't all of us take Canada? And somebody took USA. Did somebody take USA? Lebo took USA.
Yeah.
Punk. So we'll see.
Hope
See if he
he's
gets
right.
it done. Bill Self talking a little Darren Peterson. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
This was today. Is that right?
Yep.
Let's talk about the national discourse. Bill Self was asked all about the attention that's being paid to Peterson nationally for not finishing the game in Stillwater.
It's not a distraction for me as much as it would be for him. And maybe it is for our players. I don't believe it is, though. But for Darren, obviously, it would be, because I've heard some of the things that were said. The things that are said nationally, from the perspective in which they say it, is it fair, or is a lot of the things that they said actually true? He hasn't finished games. The reasons why they say he hasn't finished games is 100% false. So at least in 70 to 80% of the reasons why, that with what they've said that I've heard. So I can't say 100% of everything would be false, but that's the narrative that's being put out there. But the bottom line is there is a way to change the narrative. Play, finish. Now, if his body allows him to, fantastic. If it doesn't allow him to, then they'll say something again the next game. But that's the way to get people to quit talking. It's not me saying it's not fair. I don't think that really keeps anybody from having an opinion on it at a national level.
That one took
pretty easy to read.
That one took some twists and turns, but hey, there's an easy way.
All right, here's another one. Some pundits have said Peterson must not love the game enough. Bill Self was asked about that.
I don't know that we've had a guy that studies the game, has prepared himself for this more so than what Darren Peterson has. He loves ball. He can't get enough of ball. I think that those are the things that's probably hurtful as much as anything to say those type of things. And nobody's put more time in outside of practice, working on their game on an individual level than probably what he has over a lifetime. I don't even think it'd be close. I don't buy those scenarios at all. But there's a way to get rid of those scenarios too. And he knows that, and I know that, and that's what he's going to deal with. If he wasn't a for sure top pick in an NBA draft, regardless of where that is, would anybody even be talking about this in the way in which they are? Maybe they would, but I certainly doubt it.
He knows how to make it go away. Okay. He said nobody's ever put more time in than him. I know that. No, you don't. You don't know how much time Michael Jordan put in, so that's window dressing there. All right, one more. Sam McDowell asked Bill Self how many games or practices the team needs to have with Peterson to actually reach their full potential.
I don't know what that number is, but we're at the point where I feel like we're getting right up against that number, so to speak. This weekend is a great sign because it's a Saturday, Monday game. Well, postseason is Thursday, Saturday, or Friday, Sunday. I think if you don't have confidence in doing that over an extended period of time, and to me, I've always said by February, but I never really thought what day in February. But, we're no longer in mid-February. We're in the latter part of February, so it needs to start happening now, and that's what we believe will happen. But certainly, I think we're getting pretty much against it, where I would have the total confidence going into the second week of March, knowing that we play together for a while.
And expectations for Darren to play tomorrow?
Oh yeah. I haven't seen him. Well, I've seen him. I haven't really talked to him since the game on Wednesday, because yesterday was an off day. But we met. It wasn't a total off day. We met and watched tape, but we didn't do anything basketball-wise. So we'll find out today. But we haven't had any issues in practice whatsoever.
No issues in practice. Bill Self says, oh, yeah, I put it at 60-40. Let's take a break. We'll come back, hear a little bit from Sporting Kansas City. They traded a longtime favorite here in town, Daniel Shalhoub, sent out the door. We'll hear about that next. All right, I want to let you hear a little bit of what was going on today with Sporting Kansas City. They had a press conference at 3. Their season starts tomorrow, right? Flurry of moves from Sporting Kansas City coming down the stretch. This first one is about the trade of Daniel Shalhoub. They get $300,000 in allocation money. Could go up to $1 million depending upon how well he plays. David Lee, president of soccer operations, said moving Shalhoub wasn't easy, but it was necessary.
I do want to take a moment to put on record, I know it was in my quote as well, but thank Daniel for everything he did for Sporting Kansas City. I know it was before my time, but he's been an integral player for this club for a long time, becoming a homegrown player and playing a huge amount of games. And so decisions like this are never easy. How it came about really was Toronto approached us and expressed some interest in Daniel. And then those conversations sort of exemplified over the weekend and then went into Monday and Tuesday of this week. And eventually we came to a position where we had a transaction that we felt made sense for us financially. And then we had a conversation with Daniel, and through those conversations with Daniel and his agent, it was an opportunity that he was also interested to explore. And so we're able to finalize the transaction yesterday.
You know, I hate to see him go, but I think they're turning things over, and this is the reality of where things are. I think whether or not Joveljic, their star, number 9, their star striker goes, I think that's the real big question. And there are still roster challenges. Lee went on. So there's still a lot of work to do roster-wise, even though the season begins tomorrow. They still like to add 3 to 6 more players in the window.
Window's not closed, but I certainly would characterize it as a challenging window so far. We've still got a month left. We wanted to be further along than we are with bringing in players. And we still have some work to do to get the roster to where we want it to be. Having said that, I'm really pleased with the transactions that we have done. I think we've got a great group of guys in our locker room that have been unbelievably committed, and the effort, quality, and everything they've shown in preseason has given a lot of cause for encouragement for those of us who have been fortunate to be around and see every single day of training and the games that they've played. But for sure, we're still active in the market. We're still looking to add a number of new players.
They need to be active. They need to add a number of players. Listen, I'm just going to be blunt. This game, it's brand new. It's a brand new group. They were brought in. I don't know what took so long to hire a coach. All right, I think there was a lot more work to be done. I've gone on record and said that I really think that they didn't realize how much Peter Vermees was doing, and that to bring the club to the modern way of running a club, they had a lot of positions to hire. But I'm going to say this: if they get embarrassed, and I hope that's not the case, I hope they come out and kick ass and we go, wow, like they are off and running. Proof is in the pudding, but getting to the season and not having a full roster is embarrassing. There's no way under it. I want to be clear. I'm going to say it now. If they go 5-0 and win and dominate, I'm going to give mad praise. But it's ridiculous to not have a full roster when you start your season.
All right, what pitcher holds the single-season record for winning percentage with at least 15 decisions? Brought to you by La Feta Delicatessen.
Fourth quarter of the program begins right now as we finish strong here on a Friday. Hour number 20.
Mm-hmm.
And the biggest and the baddest guest still to come. Kevin Harlan coming up here shortly. We'll talk some college basketball with Kevin. Maybe we'll get to some football as well, but want to get into the college hoops and what's going on with Jerome Tang and Darren Peterson. Get the big guys' thoughts on that. He is the best in the business. He comes your way next. Right now, though, let's hear a little Andy Reid. Start out with a question Todd Lebo asked. If the uncertainty of Rashee Rice affects the way they view the draft and free agency.
I would tell you no. I mean, I can't comment on Rashee's situation. I mean, it's in law enforcement's hands, so I there's no comment there. But I would tell you no, not right now.
Didn't ask for a comment on it. Asked how it affected the.
Yeah. So I would tell you no. I guess that's kind of an answer.
No, not right now. Okay. What about on draft night?
What about?
Because it ain't going to be settled then.
Nope.
It better affect it. It better. Let me answer the question for you, Coach. It better.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
And a quick note, people wondering why.
Or are you looking to line up Xavier Worthy?
Yeah.
I got to open the. Who's the?
Jalen Royals.
Jalen Royals and
Jason Brownlee.
And Jason Brownlee?
Yeah.
Come on. And
a quick note for those wondering why Reid spoke today. He's not going to the combine next week. He had a knee procedure, and I guess he can't fly. So he did this today.
All right, how about free agency? Todd Lebo asked Reid if they might take a step back in the free agent market given their cap situation.
Yeah, that's listen, it's all pieces to a puzzle here. So you go through and you evaluate that and see where you can spend, what's out there. Free agency is it's a little bit different animal and how you handle it. And we'll see how things go. I mean, we're kind of sorting through all of that as we go. As you know, the combine ends up being an area where people talk, and you've got agents, coaches, GMs, everybody together, and so people have a tendency to you hear things, right? And people talk, and you keep your ears open and your mouth shut and listen and see what's going on. But until until the new league year starts, nobody can really dig in on it and go. But people like to talk in this league. That's why you're making a living at it, right? That's how it goes.
Okay.
He won't be listening to anything next week.
He won't be, but this is where everyone's together. Yeah. So I think this is where the Chiefs and Trent McDuffie's people get a vibe on the number that each side's thinking. If it doesn't look like it can work, then, and I think the teams know that the Chiefs are there. So if anyone's like, they've got cap problems, Trent McDuffie's going to be expensive. Hey, Brett, what are you thinking? I don't think the Chiefs are going to shop Trent McDuffie. But they would you have to listen to any offer. So, hey, make me an offer. What do you got? Blow me away. A seventh? No, I'm good. We'll sign Trent. 2 first? I'm listening.
And I'm seeing that Brent Veach will speak on Tuesday at 11 a.m. Central.
So we will. I think we'll be able to bring you that live during the zone, and we'll go from there. All right. How about the new coaches? First chance to talk to Andy Reid about the complete unveiling of the coaching staff. Reid was asked if the influx of new coaches will mean changes on the offense.
Well, there's always change. I mean, every year there's change that takes place. Is it a wholesale change? No. But we'll figure out the guys we have and what they do the best, and we'll put them in a position there to exploit their strengths, and then to work on their weaknesses to get them better. And so that's the base premise there. And then execution becomes an important thing, and how you go about doing that at a high level. And so that's coaching and playing mixed together to make that happen. And, you want to make sure, though, that you get these guys in the right position to where they at least have an opportunity to do that. And then they've got a responsibility to make sure they up their game to do the right things at the right time.
Take away from that comment?
There's probably not going to do a lot different. You said there won't be wholesale changes.
That's what I heard. I mean, I don't know. Define what's wholesale changes. I mean, I think Andy Reid views the offense
with the wing tee. No.
Well, I think Andy Reid views the offense as having like all the plays you could ever want are there. It's just which ones do we put onto the card each week? Which ones do we make a priority? I mean, I think he feels like, well, we've got under center plays. We just choose to run these RPOs.
Yeah.
Is that a wholesale change if you quit the RPOs and run a bunch of under centers and bootlegs?
No.
I mean, I don't know. Are they going to change the terminology? No, but do they need to functionally change? And you talked about the players. Yeah, get a tight end that can block. Right. Okay, like that'd be one. How about a fullback? You know, there's some ways that, you know, overall the evolution could be functional.
More than a tweak.
Yeah, Travis Kelce, one of the big questions looming out there. Sam McDowell asked Reed if he's been talking to Kelce.
No, there is communication, though. That's the main thing, Sam. And so I always go, I've said this before to you, just as long as there's communication, I'm good. That means people want to move forward. And I think that's where Trav is. I'm not trying to put words in his mouth at all, and I try to give him some space here. He's been doing this a long time, and he can sort all that out as he goes forward. But we're proceeding with that, and there is communication going on.
What kind of communication is necessary on whether or not a guy's going to retire?
There's not much. It's not a contract. Maybe it is a contract. It's how much you going to pay?
No. That's you hit it. You hit on it.
Yeah.
Retirement is just I am or I'm not.
Yeah.
Right. If there's communication, that to me sounds like yes, contract talks, and we're trying to work our way through it. You know, what's the number? How's it going to work? What are the dynamics going to look like? So yeah, that's what that feels like to me. Is that it's communication. For just waiting yay or nay.
Just say
now, if yay or nay depends upon how much cheddar I get, okay, that's it. But that's still contract negotiations. That's what I'm hearing right there. All right, let's talk to the best of the business. Kevin Harlan, the voice of America, joins us next.